Welcome to Madame After Midnight. It's a podcast where we talk about life and its many pursuits of sustainable happiness. I'm your host, Madame Donut. Now a word of warning. Sometimes this podcast makes you hungry. I made some cheese puffs that will make you hungry. Or horny, because I am hanging out with athletes tonight who are extra sexy in their beastiness. As I want to bring in two of my really good friends. I call them my beast friends. Both of them are two-time Olympians. Kellie Suttle is two-time Olympian in pole vaulting, and Vernon Patao was actually a previous coach of mine, was also a two-time Olympian in weightlifting. Anyways, guys, let's welcome Kellie and Vernon! Signal to kind of get back and Anyways, Coach, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while, and Kellie. Well, Kellie, I saw you a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I snuck out to the south side and had a little quick date with Kellie and just catch up. So that was really nice. Yeah. But Coach, I haven't seen you in ages.
I know. I've been hiding out in the gym and at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't been very social.
It's okay. I kind of feel the same way. Actually, except through this podcast, I feel like it gives me a. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I this happens to me all the time. I forget about this part because that's my favorite part. Is when it's disco lights, it's my rage party. So speaking of being antisocial, the past couple of years we haven't really been out. So this is my rage party. So forgive me if I'm extra.
Freaky.
Yeah, I always get freaky. This podcast has allowed me to mostly just reach out to people I haven't seen in a while, or even people I've never met but I've always been very curious about. So it's been nice to just be out there, social but kind of working, pretend working. So it's Olympic Day coming up on the 23rd. So of course that's when I thought, of course, why shouldn't I hang out with you too? The last time I actually hung out with the both of you in the same place was Olympic Day.
At the Key
Library.
I know.
Yeah. Because I was looking for old pictures.
Is it 4 years?
Something like that. Or maybe, has it been longer? Maybe, I don't know. I feel like...
At my age, I can't remember.
You know what?
This was last week.
I'm going to say that too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, okay, so both of you. So let's start with Kellie. You were two-time Olympian. Did you kind of cross over at some point? Not really.
No.
Because what year were you in the games?
I did 2000 and 2004.
And you were before, I'm assuming, Coach.
1932.
Okay.
1992 and 96.
Well, I assumed yours was definitely way earlier because the photos I could find all black and white with color.
Yeah, that was what do you call the Polaroid?
Yeah, that's seriously. I was okay, I wanted to. I'm not that good with graphics yet. I wanted to kind of fix it up a little bit to add color, Technicolor happened,
She had put big hair. No, I had big hair.
Oh my God,
yeah.
you had hair. So this is what's really funny because Coach and I, we kind of have the same father. So I got into Olympic weightlifting. I'm not gonna say the year, but a while back. I don't think there were women in the Olympic Games yet, competing in the time when I discovered it. It was kind of by accident. But anyhow, Jim Schmitz owned this gym back in San Francisco. And I didn't know who he was. All I knew was whatever, I'm gonna go join a gym and get cute and stuff. But then instead of lifting, nice weights, nice cute little weights to get, Thigh Masters and stuff. I saw these guys doing Olympic lifting and didn't really know what it was other than they're just throwing this thing around and I was like, oh my God.
Making cool noises.
Yeah, that's my thing, right? So I asked the owner, I was like, how do I do that? And he looked at me and was like, have you ever lifted before? And I said, no. I could not even lift a bar above my head. But I did not know that this man is basically a legend in the sport. Jim Schmidt's been, he's
been to, I think 9 or 10 Olympic Games, 3 as a coach, 3 as a liaison, 3 as an official.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
been around and
he's still
very
around.
successful.
Wow.
He's still very active, and he looks the same
Yes.
actually.
Looks good.
Which is kind of like eerie because he looks pretty much the same as when I knew him. But interestingly enough, pictures of the teams that he coached were on the wall when I was first introduced to Olympic lifting. So I had seen your picture from many years ago when I was lifting, and I was like, oh, whatever. Anyways, of course, it wouldn't
What was
register,
that?
right?
What do you think?
Well, I obviously didn't really register other than like, okay, you know, familiar faces
Nice
at some
hair.
point. Like, you know, had hair. He had hair on those pictures.
Yeah, big hair, afro.
Yeah, afro even, which is odd, right? But yeah, so it was actually
It's
really
like
funny because years later I moved to Maui and I was boxing with Coach Nante, and he's like, "You're strong," and I was like, "Oh, just leftover stuff from Olympic lifting years ago." And he's like, "Oh, there's this guy on Maui. He's 2-time Olympian," and I'm like, "Oh no way," because a lot of times people can't really tell the difference between Olympic lifting and powerlifting, and at the time even CrossFit, you know, they didn't know. So I didn't even believe him, and then he told me the name. I was like, huh? And then I looked it up. I was like, and it just so happened that you had posted like a throwback picture of the same picture that Coach had on his wall. It
A
was
black
like,
and white photo.
yeah, holy fuck! I said, like, I know this guy. I've been looking at this picture for decades. So yeah.
3 decades.
Yeah. So yeah, I went up to him. I was like, "Holy shit, we have the same dad." So that was kind of cool.
Aw.
And then Kelly, I met. We worked together at Keilani
Yep.
doing massage, and you're still there.
Yep.
But
So
in fact, when I got hired, I think you were on a leave because you had your child, you had your daughter.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh,
so
yeah.
God, it's so long ago.
know.
So we're talking about this before
Like, oh.
the beginning of the show. How her daughter's taller than us, Coach, at this point. Like it's
Close.
insane.
Yeah, yeah. How-
It's insane.
I know. It's okay.
It's
Okay.
yeah.
It's gonna
Anyway,
be tough.
yeah, I'm not scared. I actually like being short because, you know, I can hide my age for much longer. Anyways, sorry. I mean, we started just another like cheer for you guys because I'm just
Cheers.
really excited that you guys are here. Thank you
Cheers.
for joining me and having a little party. But yeah, so I just get really excited that I know both of you because I'm kind of like I'm an Olympic groupie, if you will. That's just what I call myself.
Or donut groupies.
Yeah, and then you're donut groupie.
Yeah,
so
for
we're,
sure.
we're all it's all it's
We
all
loathe,
equal.
we loathe over the Liloquimo.
So Olympic Day, what does it mean to both of you? Has it changed through the years since obviously you're in the games, and does it mean anything to you differently these days? And have you know, it's like, are you as excited about it as you were? I mean, obviously since you're not like fully active in it, I mean, you'll always be an Olympian. That's the thing, once an Olympian. So
Yeah.
Olympic Day for you, what does it mean?
I mean, I'm a little far removed from the sport a little bit being out
I'm
here,
sorry, just if you could
being
just-
out here on Maui.
She's so tall. We put her, by the way, we put her on a really low chair.
You gave me the tall one.
Yes.
Thanks.
But it's always a good reminder of kind of where you come from, and it's just nice to have a really good memory. I mean, all of track and field for me was just, I have really good experiences, good memories, good, you know, it is a great time to see or to remember, you know, like how, like, not to sound cheesy, but the pursuit of the dream and how it manifested and kind of came true, and
Yeah.
you know,
I think it's a big
remembering
memory.
all of that it's a really cool memory. It's a lot of fun, and you know, sometimes you just scroll back. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's when I had abs.
Actually, she still has abs.
Still
But
has
Crazy.
but
enough.
back, the glory days where you get to train 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, I wanna
know,
go
grind
back
it
to that.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
definitely
know.
want to hear about your like grind. But Coach, what's Olympic Day to you now? Like, is it still exciting? I mean, you're still in the sport. You came back to the sport. You took a
I
break.
came back to coach. Actually,
Yeah,
I took a break
to
for a
coach.
long time. I was far removed.
Yeah.
I guess the transition back to not competing was rough.
Right.
Was it?
Yeah.
PTSD,
No, it is.
Yeah.
It's a
I
thing.
had a hard time. That's why I separated myself from the sport as much as I could.
Yeah, I actually
time.
I want to talk about that because it is, like you said, it sounds like a PTSD. Your life is so just dedicated to it for however
Very narrow,
you know, the many years that you're
focused,
playing the sport, and then
hyper-focused.
Yeah.
when you retire,
Done.
it's it's like, I think of the dopamine, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
how you're like,
absolutely.
I gotta work for this and win this, blah blah blah, make it. And then when it's over, it's like, right? It's like,
Is that all
now
of it?
what? Is that it? Right? It's kind of like,
no,
yeah.
it is. It's it was it. I mean, as I'm sure Vernon can attest to, it's it's like you go from having these hyper focused like days. Your days are all planned around one thing, or years are planned
Yeah.
around one thing, and it's all been about this Olympic dream.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's always things in between that. It's not just totally the Olympics, but then when you're done, I mean, I remember thinking like, what am I ever gonna find in my life that's ever gonna give me
exciting.
that? And I've only found one thing.
Yeah.
And like literally, if it wasn't like snowboarding is the only thing that's literally gives you, at least to me, that's parallel with that. So that for me, that was the hardest thing, like finding something that makes you like that
Super
stoked.
excited, yeah.
But then also it's just like, it's like a transition into like everyday life. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so what do I want to do now for a career that's been all about one thing? And then,
Yeah.
like,
And we were
going
talking
to the
about that,
gym
like,
even
yeah,
was like
like
a
being
whole different-
normal, like,
yeah, like going to the gym, I remember that being such like a mind fuck a little bit, just you're like, well, what do I do now? Like, how do you just work out for fun?
Yeah, yes.
It's always like everything was like
Yes.
all periodized and this and that, and it was for a purpose. And now it's just like, okay, I gotta like
yeah.
flip
It
the
must not
switch
be
here.
as just.
No, I love working out, and it's still fun. I think it's always going to be fun, but finding that like.
But
that
so what
focus, and
motivates
for
you
me,
to,
like
like,
doing
train now?
masters track or any of that stuff, just. I mean, I know some people do it. Not many people who've done it professionally. At least in pole vaulting, because first off, it's not something you can just pick up a pole and go.
Right.
It's like it's brutal on your body, and it's just like for me, it was just like. How is it going to be from like going from jumping 15 and a half feet to like jumping like 5 feet underneath my PR? Like that's hard to get excited for.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it was hard to kind of refocus and find new things. But luckily I was in Boulder, Colorado when I made this transition, and it's like a big, huge playground.
Yeah.
Before I moved out
The
here to Maui.
distractions. while
So
you're
so
weaning yourself.
but
out of that
also, it
part.
was awesome because in my entire life, I've done 2 sports. Like, I was a competitive gymnast from 6 to my sophomore year in high school, and then I got right into track, and then right into professional athletics.
At
So it's
what
like,
age did you transition from gymnastics?
so my sophomore year, I started track. But I was actually that's another whole story, but I was a long jumper and a sprinter. And that's what I went to college actually on my scholarship, and then discovered pole vaulting actually in college. So it wasn't something like I had been training for my whole life, because
Yeah.
it didn't exist.
Right.
It
'Cause
didn't
you were-
exist for women in
There were
college.
no women
Yeah.
until the year that you went, right?
Well,
It was-
2000 was the first ratified Olympic Games for the women's pole vault, but it started to come. We competed at the '96 Olympic trials, but we were exhibition, and
I can kind of call myself just an exhibitionist.
exhibitionist, yes.
That doesn't count.
We're a little bit of that out
Ah,
there.
dang it! I would get like Olympic gold medal for being an exhibitionist over here.
There you go.
Coach actually asked me, "What's the dress code?" And I said, "Naked." And he's like, "I better start drinking." I was like, "Don't you worry, I'll provide."
and you did, and it's always, of course, there's nothing less
Thank you.
than awesome.
I was just telling you guys, I foraged this. I hiked up at the cross this morning, and then picked the fruit and made a puree and everything. And so this and local vodka.
See, it does fit with the theme.
Yes,
of
absolutely.
food.
Exactly.
It's just in our cocktails
Yes.
tonight.
Yeah,
And
so
thank
this
God.
will make me
Loosen
sweat.
me and Vernon back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of us aren't born with like the, your wake up with your personality.
Yeah,
We're very lucky.
absolutely. I love it. So, coach, with you, like when you said you left the sport, pretty much, because then it's just not as exciting, and I think takes certain personalities to get into Olympics, right? Like you're so driven to try to make it in this sport. So then you're not driven anymore because you did it. Like now what?
Well, whether the Olympics or I guess competing at a high level,
Yes.
It's a selfish endeavor, kinda.
Yeah.
Well, not kinda, extremely.
Oh yeah.
So like when I was done, I knew. So I had my family early, so it was something that I wanted to focus on. But then as my relationship struggled because I was trying to look for the next high or challenge.
Yeah.
So golf, tennis, surfing, snowboarding, whatever it took.
After the competition.
Yeah.
You just got really antsy, basically. Now you also like competed in golf though, right?
I did a few tournaments.
Yeah. I mean,
Can't hit a golf ball.
I remember when I was doing a little
Terrible.
research on you. It's like, yeah, you. This was when I was like, when Coach Nante was like, oh, Vernon, he's like an Olympian in weightlifting, and the first thing I saw was actually golf, and I was like, Coach, you're like full of shit. I was like,
Oh, dug a little deeper.
yeah, I was like, oh shit, because it was when I first met you, you were just getting back into it, actually.
Yeah, because for a long time, I golfed in high school. Well, a little bit of junior golf because my dad forced me. And you know what? I'm thankful he did.
Yeah.
So in high school, I played a little bit. I never practiced. We were lucky. We won state champion.
Yeah.
But then I quit for a long time. Then started lifting.
What year, how old are you when you started lifting?
14 or 15.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like nowadays kids are starting way younger.
Early, yeah. How did you just get into Olympic weightlifting?
I went to a
golf
gym.
is so different. Yeah.
Garage gym, and I wanted to train for football because I think I had aspirations of playing in the NFL.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, nothing.
So of course when you play Pee Wee or I don't know what those younger leagues,
Pee-wee.
everybody's the same height. So
Right,
I did
whatever.
fairly well.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym, and I looked at these two huge, gigantic people
Yes.
at college, and one I think played NFL for a little while. So I told them what my dreams were, and they said, no, maybe you should pick a different sport. Then when I asked them what they did, then my coach, Dr. Gazelia, this guy was an all-state, all-star in college and all that. I'm like, holy shit, they're pretty big. So I changed. It was either going to be wrestling or weightlifting.
Right.
So weightlifting, I don't need cardio. So
Yeah.
I chose weightlifting.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear ya. But I know that you were close to Coach Pono, or at least like that kind of brought you into taking weightlifting more seriously. How did you discover being coached by him?
Yeah, well,
Or
my
he's
coach is Dr. Yogi.
The whole time?
He's been the entire time. I've been like Tommy Kona, a brief clip on him. He's been like one of the most successful Olympians of all time.
Yeah.
And just so happened he lives in Hawaii,
Yeah.
like for most of his athletic career. So my coach, Dr. Yogi, is good friends with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, trained together or they competed at the same meets. So I met him along the way.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's been Dr. Yogi. Who never really coached me in weightlifting. Like very little.
Dr. Yogi?
Yeah.
And
It's
what do you do?
interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy because a lot of people ask me all these technical questions and it was not. It's about school, reading, music.
Interesting.
And he says, you can go learn from this other guy. So when I went to the Olympic Training Center, he said, go learn as much as you can and then come back. But you know what? He's been my coach and he did way more in here than try to overcomplicate things.
That is so interesting because I think the sport is so specific, right? Like, and for a coach like that, because I kind of think of Coach Jim Schmitz is the same.
Yeah.
Like you need to find it yourself, and then he'll talk to you. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean? Like it's like he needs you to find it yourself. He's not gonna baby you and like push it. Oh my God!
Oh.
Phew! Good thing I always drank off.
It's so funny because I find myself doing that because people come, because the one thing I'm not going to waste is my time. So I say, I went to these people in the gym, they come in and said, well, you do this for 6 months and you can come back in.
Yeah.
If you can do that, 2 things for 6 months,
Yeah.
maybe I'll share my time.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like
Sassy as fuck, but
Not really. I mean, I think people need to show a sense of dedication. It's
Yeah.
like
It's tough.
kids
It's
don't,
tough,
or it's like in gymnastics, kids don't start off with Bella Caroli. You know, they, I mean, and on the island, you're kind of the guy for lifting, and, like you want somebody who's going to show some persistence and some dedication.
And for the kids, definitely we have a progression, and I make it fun and all that, but like at first, I guess I got in because of CrossFit. So now weightlifting is much more accessible and way more people, way more professionals now, I think.
That's awesome.
Well, they tell me they're professionals.
Ah.
Because they watch YouTube and
Oh, there you go.
social media.
YouTube
Oh,
doctors,
yeah.
So I don't
YouTube
have much to say,
professionals.
really.
Yeah, it's actually
I have a
yes.
simple progression and I stick to that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think that's what happened with Olympic lifting. It became really trendy.
Yes.
And that's why when Coach Nante told me that you were an Olympian, I was like, yeah, another guy who says he does Olympic lifting, because there's so many people who said that. And I'm like, it's
What
just
did I
like-
tell you when you first came?
When
To train, you asked me, because I think I was just...
first of all, I messaged you because I was like, when I researched you, I saw your picture with Coach Schmidt. So I was like, holy fuck. So that's actually my message. She was like, I know, I trained with Coach Jim, like back in San Francisco, and I think that's why we started talking. And I don't think, whatever, like I was just like, where's your gym at, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, I had just started doing Dynamite, and my life was just about to get really freaking busy. So I thought, I hadn't lifted in years. It would be so cool to get back into it. And because I think it's that time after I quit work. So basically, I wasn't allowed to go to the Christmas party with my big break hair color out. So I quit. And so after that, I was like, oh, fine, I quit. I'll focus on doing Dynamite, and I'll get back into boxing and Olympic lifting. And anyways, it's around the time I met you, and you had just kind of started the business, and we were talking about it. It was like, hey, because you're not like, one thing about Coach is that you're not really like super business oriented with this sport.
Me?
Yeah,
No.
at all.
Yeah.
So you were like asking me, how do you do this? And I'm like, I'm kind of the same. I just make donuts because I love it. It's like, if I could do it, if I could make it practically for free, I would do it. Just I'm having fun, It's like what you do. You're coaching these kids, and you have the love for a sport that you wanted to continue. And in a way, like CrossFit had kind of brought back Olympic lifting, because it was.
I think it brought it to the forefront.
Mhm.
That's for sure.
You got more riffraffs doing it. However, at least it brought it back to the forefront so that the ones that are serious can move forward with.
At least somebody's here to show them how to do it.
Exactly. And actually, that is kind of the thing that I've always said.
She
too, like,
understands it. I'm much more patient now, because
Yeah.
I guess I'm a
They're good.
perfectionist.
They're good for the sport. I think CrossFit's
sure.
been really good for the sport.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
for
I mean,
fitness
just-
fitness
and
in
people-
general.
Fitness in general.
Yeah, just getting people fired up. I mean, it's so cool to see some people who've never had that opportunity to be competitive, and all of a
Yes.
sudden they're kind of competing and
And
they're active.
moving. They're moving.
Yeah, but it's
At the end of
sometimes
the
it's
day.
a little hard to watch.
Yeah.
And I know the basics. I mean, I know the basics of like.
No, I hear ya.
But for you, I mean,
Before I
Yeah.
you're just like, and I'll put on
time.
a workshop for free. Just
Just so I
Come my
know,
way.
when I was training people, and this was I majored in exercise science, so a lot of the things that I was doing, it's like I was training at the gym, just as a side job, and because I'm tiny, especially around that time when nobody knew Olympic lifting, some of the guys would see me in the gym doing push presses or whatever, and squatting heavily, and they'd be like, you might hurt yourself. And I would tell people, it's like, don't do it then. Because the fast movements, because we're talking about the time when you can't lift fast and you can't lock your joints.
oh well,
Right.
with pole vaulting, we were told our uterus was gonna fall out.
Oh my
That's why we couldn't pole vault.
Oh God!
No. It's interesting the
But the
stigma
thing
that's
is-
put on girls
but-
and not being able to do
Yeah,
stuff.
but the thing is, you were a gymnast, so I mean, if pole vaulting is not going to do anything,
I-
you that's what you already
Exactly.
fallen.
Or we didn't have the center gravity, or we couldn't possibly be strong enough. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, women coming in.
Yeah, so.
I won't go there. I won't do it.
Yeah, but so that's interesting though.
Not
This is
yet.
kind of like a big segue, because this is not just about being women, because I just saw.
No, because Vernon's here.
Yeah, but
He's
recently,
in touch with his feminine
well,
side.
like Olympics have changed a lot. You know, where we're talking now. We have transgenders, right?
Yeah.
Like are now competing under whatever they define
Yes.
themselves now. So
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a very controversial subject for you guys to
Well, it's not
respond to.
controversial, but I have my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious because during the times you were competing, like, would you want to compete? Especially at the time that we just started, like,
Yeah.
it was like the first, you went on the second season that women were competing in pole vaulting. After you've been told
Second
that
Olympics.
second Olympics, yeah.
Yeah.
That, I mean, your uterus would have fallen. So,
Oh.
transgender, I mean, what uterus would fall?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is that okay? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just I'm curious. But
Mhm.
Go ahead, Vernon, you first.
yeah, just
The thing
because
is,
you don't have a uterus.
Whether sexual preference, transgender, or any, me, I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about competing on a level playing field. So do
Yeah.
I feel it's level with the transgender competing against a naturally born female? No, absolutely not. No, there's
Yeah.
biological differences from the start. And I don't care if you go on estrogen treatment or all that. It's bullshit. You have
Yeah.
a lifetime of adaptation as a male.
Yeah.
So, and I've known a handful of females who lost a spot in the Olympic Games or or World Championship Games, whether it's wrestling, weightlifting, because of a few transgenders. Like I said, not them personally,
Yeah.
whether it be a preference, but I'm talking about competition. So do I feel it's fair? Well, absolutely not.
Same.
Yeah, that's kind of, science is hard to argue with.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely one for just the science of it, whether, you know, and I'm all for, you know, people feeling comfortable in their skin and who they feel like they are and
Yeah.
want to be, and of course, competitions, but, you know, I mean, Verna makes a great point with you're spending, you know, whether it's, you know, 10, 15 years in a male, you know, you're growing and getting strength and strong as, you know, with testosterone and, you know,
Yeah.
the ability to gain that kind of strength, which, you know, you can't
Yeah.
really, you can't really compare it. That's why there's men and women's sports, because
Yeah.
there's different capabilities, you know. I mean, I don't want to put a cap on anything, but yeah, I mean, as of now, unless they come up with some sort of regiment or specificity for how to make it a level playing field, whether
Yeah.
it's through modern medicine or science, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the sky's the limit on it, you know, but
That's how I
as
feel
at
too.
this moment and at this time, it's, to me, in my eyes, it would be hard to say that you can, a 17-year-old girl could compete with a 17-year-old male in pole vaulting. You know, we can't generate as much power and kinetic force, you know, and strength.
Yeah, and when you like you said,
So-
it's Pride Month, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
all for Pride Month.
Absolutely.
but it's
For
like
sure. Me too.
an interesting conversation.
Absolutely,
It's been,
you know.
it keeps coming up because
No, and you know, I'll just let this, like I said, I've always just been like, I'm all team science, and
Yeah.
we'll just let the science do that, and if somebody can prove me different, like, please,
Yeah.
you know,
For
because
sure.
God, to squash this argument would be great.
Yeah, because I feel
But
that if you are
true,
not
though.
allowed to compete if you took drugs that enhance
Yeah, testosterone is what you're taking.
Exactly, then it would be
Hence
kind
the
of
male.
something similar. Yeah, like
Well, more of it. Not that girls
I mean,
don't
you
have
will always have a
testosterone, but
tighter butt than I would.
It's just a male thing.
It's a male thing.
I don't
You
know,
know.
maybe.
So when I smacked his butt cheeks earlier, I was like, God damn, it always hurts me! Coach, stop that!
I know. It's not
Stop
fair.
hurting my
I'm
palm
just
when I
like,
spank you.
What happened to mine?
Yeah. So I mean, years later, right? I mean, again, it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
With you now, your daughter, you have this beautiful daughter that we were just talking about how like she's gonna be much taller than us in like
for
in a few
sure.
months.
She's gonna be taller than me by the time she goes into middle school.
Yeah, she's super tall and she's growing really fast and she's very athletic. Do you feel like while you're raising her right now, do you feel like she feels any pressure? Or
Oh, no,
does she know? I mean,
it is very clear. I mean, I followed her lead. Active isn't an option in my household.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not that I'm forcing her to really do a sport. It's more that being active.
it
Kind
says,
of.
by the way, this says this may be a cocktail.
It's maybe it's a nice
It's not coffee.
warning.
Yeah.
But
So yeah. So anyway,
but anyway,
sorry.
but for me,
Okay.
it's all about teaching her that, you know, how to take care of her body. And that's what being active, athletic, and as a parent, I feel like you're competing with technology. And so for us, she's just been raised that we're active, and her happy space is outside. It's being active. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we'll see what she finds an interest in. She does some aerial silks now, and she does some surfing. She's into roller skating.
Hold down your drink.
She told me that she hopes that there's going to be a job that's going to be able to include roller skates. And then I'm like, oh, I think there's a Sonic coming to Maui. I'm like, maybe? Is it the
No,
Sonic?
that was kind of one of my fantasies.
But anyway,
is to have like
9-year-olds, we've moved up from wanting to be a mermaid, so.
really quick. No, but I
I
actually that was one of my fantasies is to have a like a roller skate like servers for donuts.
Ooh, it would be super
So
fun.
you never know. You never
You never know.
You never
I'll send
know.
her your way when she turns 16.
I
But
know.
no, she's a super strong kid. I think I was telling Vernon when we came in, she went from 4'7" to 5-ish, a
Holy
little over
fuck.
5 foot,
Yeah,
and
so
just
she
in
has tons of
COVID.
weight.
And so when she goes through these big growth spurts, and she's like almost like a giraffe, you know, where she's just like a baby giraffe, you know, where she's just long and lanky. But
She's so strong.
she does the aerial silks with was it Uplift Maui, I think, and they just, you know, they're up and down those silks like
Yeah.
15, 18 times a practice, and she's just like, because her first day of summer break, she broke her pinky, and we're trying to test it out, see where we're at, because we're like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hop on the pull-up bar, and next thing you know, she reps off 4 pull-ups in a row, and I'm like, it's my girl, man. You know, I'm just like, yep, I think we're ready to roll, man. So I know she's gonna be strong, and whatever
Yeah.
that leads her to. And I hope she wants to be active. I mean, for me, like being a part of sports, it's like there's so many lessons to be learned.
Yes.
From being with your teammates, from your coaches, you know, going through adversity, the perseverance, the persistence, you know, the dedication to something, whether you're competing at the Olympics or you're competing at your local high school meet, you know, those are life lessons, and that's what I hope for. And if it brings her to something great, awesome. I would be your biggest cheerleader. But if nothing more, for me, it's like I said, I'm teaching her to take care of her body, how to be healthy, how to be active, you know, and, you know, I want her to have those experiences that I did, because sports were awesome for me. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of controversy around gymnastics and stuff like that, but for me, like, I had nothing but epic experiences, you know, my whole entire, you know, and all through all my coaching career, through both my big coaches I had in my life, like, they were awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and though, I mean, harsh and
Yeah, but
tough,
that's
but
nice.
you know, well, I know, but it's just like they were right.
Right, and
especially as an adult, I'm just like,
yeah,
oh God.
I think that is one thing about like getting into sports, right? Like where you're going to be challenged, your ego is going to be challenged when
Oh, yeah.
when you lose, you know, like when you win, is the ego going to take
And how to
over
take
when
on
you
all
lose,
those
like,
roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, and
Exactly.
it took me a long time to get that though. I remember when I first started pole vaulting, and like I said, I kind of just fell into pole vaulting. And I remember Earl Bell, he's a 3-time Olympian, he's bronze medalist, and he has like this Field of Dreams training center in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where it's like he built it in the middle of a soybean field. And it's just like literally like if you've ever seen Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Well, everybody from around the world would come to our training center. But I remember when I first started pole vaulting, I would get so pissed, and I would chuck my pole, and I would like get so pissed. And then I remember coming out to practice the next day, and he's like, Suttle. And I'm like, So I go in his office, and he's
How
like,
old were you then?
it's a senior in not high school, but college. So I don't know, early 20s.
Yeah.
But he's like, look at the rules. And I knew that there was always rules out there, like more safety rules than anything of like what you were allowed to do. And there was a new number 1. He's like, no black clouds. And so that was the rule for me. He's like, read it, learn it, own it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, because if you don't, you're done. He's like, it was just a simple conversation. It was like 2 lines. He's like, we are out here to have fun. We're out here to train hard, and that attitude doesn't go here.
Yeah.
And it's like,
okay. Yeah, especially when you're so intense.
So trying
like
to
that,
get
right?
like, oh yeah, and trying to get
Like,
that under control, like, but just like that, like, you know. So yeah, it was a really great lesson to being like, hey, you're affecting this atmosphere. Get it together.
Yeah,
you know. So I'm just like,
you're not the only
hey,
one in the training
check.
center.
And I always remember it though. I even use it on my daughter now.
Yeah.
I'm like, no black clouds, man.
I love it. I love it. How do you coach? Like, you know, because obviously you're teaching everyone from. I mean, what's the youngest athlete that you had?
I've seen
They
littles out
sound
there.
like 8 years old. 8
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're much easier to coach.
Right.
Oh,
They don't
they're
have
super
the ego and they're fun. And
No expectations yet.
they're just playing.
Well, like in the beginning it was tough. Like it's different to compete and
yeah.
as compared to coaching. Coaching is way harder
Yeah. I
Coaching
understand.
because
is
you're
tough.
not in control
Yeah.
of every little thing.
I know.
So in the
And-
beginning I was like, what the hell is wrong with these people?
How do you even start? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
She understands, especially when you train for one thing. She can be an all-star in 10 different sports, but she focused on one thing to be
Right.
the best again.
And got
I did
really
alright in
good
a
at
few things, but I focused on one thing.
Yeah.
So I came into an atmosphere where they wanted to do everything.
it. Right.
But before you do that, you do basic fundamental things,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like that. So
Yeah.
it was a transition. I was
Yeah.
a jerk.
Yeah.
Now I'm less of a jerk.
Oh, good.
But with the kids always have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look like they're having fun.
Having
Yeah.
so
I
much
see a
fun.
lot of your Instagram stuff, and
They're
I
safe
love
and
some of
have
the fun.
Exactly.
I know, but
Safety.
it incorporates a lot of really good fundamentals that aren't
That's
just
all
behind.
fundamentals.
But not just with a barbell in your hand.
No.
You know, it's like I've seen all the agility drills and the plyometrics and like just things that build stability. And you know,
One of my
I'm
good
just
friends,
like
she sends me some of that stuff.
I'm a junkie when it comes
Ah,
to
Yes,
that.
she
I know.
sounds
She
like-
sends
and
me
I
some
incorporate that.
workouts because so she gives me massages. So she knows my body quite well, and she'll be like, "All right, you know, the last time you were just telling me like you got to start working on my rhomboids and like my lower lats because like I just don't.
I know.
I'm winging out a bit, so it's like
I know. That's my like secret little. I don't know.
So she would send me exercises.
Well, I just on Instagram there's some really
I'm
like
actually following a bunch
great
of
ones.
really good ones now,
Yeah,
real
like
athletics.
but like you know, but just like for like fundamentals, but like agility stuff or
Yeah.
things. You know,
Yeah.
there's a couple things I learned towards the end of my training when I realized I'm not 25 years old and I can't train like a 25-year-old. And honestly, you don't need to train like a 25-year-old
Exactly.
because you have that layer of strength already. And now you're more tweaking, refining, finding that little extra bit of speed that you can gain or a better way to transfer kinetic energy. So it's all this, like, it's a lot of science to pull out thing. But anyways, that's another whole conversation. But you're really, when I switched up my training and I started doing like NASM is like one of those places or certifications for personal trainers. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the girl I made my my first Olympic team, and her name was Mel Mueller, but her husband Mike Clark was one of the creators of NASM, but he's also the PT and like one of the directors for all the professional sports in Arizona.
Yeah.
So anyways, I had this like little small cleanup on my knee, nothing structural, and I couldn't come back. And like for the life of me, and I'm watching my teammate came back after 10 days and he was pole vaulting again after a meniscus surgery. I'm like, oh, I'll go get the plica cleaned up around my knee, no big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I had some pain with acceleration, deceleration. But anyways, 6 months later, and I was ready to end my career because I couldn't get back. Every time I would get ready to start pole vaulting, my knee would just give out. And I'm like, what
Sure.
the fuck? And so
this
anyways,
is before the Olympics.
no, this is after my first Olympics.
Oh.
It was actually like 2001-ish or something like that. And anyways, it was a last ditch effort. And I was like, I called up Mel, who I made my first Olympic team with, and she's a great friend of mine to this day. And I was just like, dude, I think I'm done. And she's like, no, get the hell out here to Thousand Oaks. NASM is out here. My husband will set you up with everything. So I went out there and I'm like, there's the winner of the Cy Young Award, and there's Michelle Kwan. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay. So I think I'm barking up the right tree. And anyways, It was just a vastus medialis issue. But anyways, he
So
switched my
He
did PT. He created a new training system under NASM just through different periodizations. But the one thing that I feel like changed for me personally is I never like zeroed in on nervous system training and like reactive training. And it's just like, well, it makes complete sense. If you don't train your body to react fast, it's not gonna it's only gonna react what you feed it. And if you're like douche or like you're training it slower, it's not gonna like. But anyways, I just feel like incorporating just a few different types, a different style of training. Like I gave up a bunch, for me personally, a lot of the heavier stuff. I started, doing cleans, like hang cleans instead of, because I'm like, wait, I don't need it. Although I don't need the strength like a thrower would need it. I don't need to ass to ankles, for squats. Like I'm just like, so everything got quick and very specific to my range of motion of what I was going through, but just really switched it up. And
how long before the second Olympics?
That was at the end of 2001. Yeah, when I came off my best year, my personal best. I got my ranked 4th in the world, and I won an Olympic World Championship silver medal. I came off my best still to date. This is after the Olympics in 2001, and then
just from more neuromuscular retraining, basically.
Yeah, but it was just like but it just incorporating a different style of training, like integrative strength, and doing a lot more superset type stuff, going from like an 85%, let's say, clean or a squat to like 15 firing med balls, or I'd have 15 hurdles set up, and you go from a heavy squat to where you have to react and get those like that tensile of like your muscle tissue to
like
fire.
Jumping. I mean, basically between weightlifting and pole vaulting, it's the same idea of like catapulting yourself.
You gotta be explosive at a certain time.
Explosive, and it's technical.
Technical.
They're super technical. Like still to date, I fucking can't clean from the ground. I fucking rack my knees every time I try to clean from the ground, and I'm just like, it got so frustrating, and I'm like, I can't fucking get any weight going. And for some reason, it just didn't work for me. But then Mike was like, well, why are you doing it like that? And why are you doing it anyways? He's like, you don't need to go from the ground. He's like, you're just opening yourself up to more injury. And actually the movement you need is actually just that last bit of, and even when I did snatches, or like clean and press, like it was the same thing. Everything just switched to a hang, and then it was more like half and quarter squats, and everything was exploding through the top of it. So like actually doing jump squats and stuff like that, and then doing negative depths. Like I'd never done that before, where instead of always plyometrically jumping up onto something, like we were jumping down and then going into multiple alternating leg bounding. Like it was such a different type of training. I'm like, oh, there's no fucking way I'm gonna get strong. And it is amazing.
Right,
like my vertical got better, my stride length got better, I got more consistent, and most of all, I didn't fucking end up injured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because coach, it's the same thing. Since I met you, like I know you're very, very concerned with injury, like more than anything. Because I feel like when we're talking about that, how Olympic lifting became trendy through like CrossFit and
I get all the clients.
He's
trying to help us. I know.
But
not his clients.
Right.
No.
Because since I've met you, you've always been more concerned about injury prevention. And I mean, I see big posters of like, if you don't have pain, then you're not going to
no
gain
pain.
anything. And you've always been anti that. So that's one of the things I appreciate about your kind of coaching.
For sure.
How do you get strong if you're injured constantly? So that is kind of the thing that I feel like exactly. And that is one of the. I mean, I'm not at your level in the athleticism, but like the education where I just feel like, come on, you guys, it's really that simple. It's like you cannot get strong if you're constantly injured. No. And that's a schooling that's being put out there. You guys are Olympic weightlifters, Olympians, who until recently, because of probably age, you were just talking about not having any injury most of your life, like major injuries. And you got up to that level in your sport because of that. So how do you coach these kids, when they see it, everybody's like trying to get big, or, now it's like you said, everyone knows better because they're on Instagram, they can put their max, whatever.
For those, let them be the internet professionals.
It's kind of annoying.
Yes, there are a bunch of them.
The thing is, I came in with the weightlifting background, so that's all I preached in the beginning, but then I did it very seldomly to a smaller group of people who wanted just to lift weights.
Yeah.
But then I have to evolve because the majority of our members are kids playing sports. And then even like for our younger weightlifters, it's much more cross training.
Is that mostly your focus now?
I think I evolved and I noticed way more, and I experimented with the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Exactly what she said earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say there's been great success in the clubs with the kids who have stuck through the boring, mundane workouts and just strictly fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all the college kids we have with swimming, softball, wrestling,
Soccer.
weightlifting, soccer, they don't go heavy, and they don't. I work on I gotta determine their range of motion,
Yep.
mobility. After that, I work around it, and they don't go heavy.
Yeah.
We have some pretty good athletes. You don't see it because I don't like to post. But I see a lot of people doing it, but then it has shifted so much more towards her training, and it's evolved to become an overall. It's much more injury prevention focused, and then I don't promise any parents anymore, or they ask if they can run faster, jump higher. I said I have no idea. It's the truth. It says I think it'll help. I think they'll be less injured. But then you compete at a high level, you will
I don't
get
think it's a
injured.
thing. It will, like, you
Oh,
know.
it
I mean,
will.
it will,
There's also
and
been
you know,
pretty
and
good.
you're bringing a level of experience that, you know, it's well, unmatched on the island for sure. I mean, that's the one thing I noticed, and this is not to knock Maui. We're on a very small island, you know, and so the pool of experience and people that we have to grab resources on, like the mainland. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, especially on the mainland, there's huge club systems, whether it's club systems for pole vaulting or gymnastics or soccer clubs or wrestling clubs or weightlifting clubs.
Yeah.
You have these huge club systems, which are great things to bring kids up into, and they learn all this. But out here, it's like, you know, that's why it's like when I did coach, I coached a little bit at Kamehameha and a little bit at Baldwin, but a lot of the information was stuff I heard back in high school, and it's no offense, but because they're the ones out there and they're giving to the kids and they're helping, and anything you give at that level is going to help, but it's just, you know, it hadn't some of it hadn't evolved very much, some of the information, and that's like the bonus of like information he's giving, especially just like the technical information. Like, first off, there's no question that strength training is going to get you stronger. You know, smart strength training will get you show up to the first meet uninjured, you know, so there's a difference between that, but like there's no, I mean, the difference between when I started lifting to when I didn't lift, they're non-comparable. Like you can't argue that strength, no matter what sport you're in, lifting is beneficial. Now, I mean, it's not a blanket topic, you know, like there isn't one system for every sport.
And like what you're saying, specificity as well, like you didn't need to do like,
no, I didn't need to do all that, especially, you know, in my later life. It's like when half the game for me was just showing up and not being injured. I mean, as a professional athlete, I mean, I don't know if you can attest to it, but I don't know when I ever showed up to a competition and wasn't hurting. It was just, what level are we really at? You know, it's abuse. It is like
abuse. So like how tell me about like us, about the routine at the time, right? So I want to go back to it because I just, some people, you know, people work out, you know, people like go or whatever, go to the gym, but it's like nothing when you, I'm sorry, nothing against it, but it's like you go, you take your pictures while you're doing, you know, you take your selfies while you're lifting and your Insta pictures, but that's, and you know, they're all like gains and all stuff. Sorry, I just think it's really funny whenever I see that. Gains, what you call? Yeah. Anyways, hashtag gains and stuff. I just think it's really cute. But like, I lost my mind. I was so busy making fun of gains. But like your routine at the time, right? It's like you're saying, okay, so once you figured out because you did gymnastics, track, and then once you knew that you were gonna be focused on pole vaulting, and this is gonna be your your sport, you're gonna be competing in the Olympics, or you're training for the Olympics. Like, how crazy was the training? Like once you knew that that's what your sport is, and you're shooting for the Olympics.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. Everybody has a little bit different experience, and mine was, I wouldn't say it was a normal experience. For me, when I got asked to come and try pole vaulting, one summer, it was just like, Earl is hands down probably the best technical coach, if not in the United States, the world. And he's amazing. But from the time where he was training to what training looks like now was night and day. And he would admit it. He's like, I mean, the side of the stuff on the side isn't my forte, but I'll teach you to pole vault. So, we had a great crew of people, and honestly, a lot of it was trial and error. But the best thing that Earl did, I guess, as far as coming up with a training plan, was identifying your strengths and weaknesses, and really just fucking honing in on the weaknesses. I mean, when I started pole vaulting, I couldn't even do a pull-up, and then towards the end of it, we're doing L-sits with 45s on our laps. Like, we got to be strong. Yeah. But I mean, the training was just this trial and error, and it morphs as you get older, and you don't need this, but now you need this, or you're working on this, so these lifts will help create hopefully this picture.
But what are the hours? Obviously you're still in college.
When I turned professional, I had graduated.
Oh, okay, that's lucky, actually.
So I graduated and immediately turned professional out of college. And so it went from a jump day for me would be an hour. I have an hour warm up just to warm up and do my myofascial stuff and sprint drills and pole runs to get ready to pole vault. Then pole vaulting practice is an hour and a half, and then you have lifting after that. And that's usually a legs day for us. So that at legs, and we would do speed traps, and so 15-meter speed traps, and so it would be a total jump day would be between 3.5 to 5 hours. But then the next day we'll come out and it's more of a core kind of high bar, med ball stuff, upper body kind of day, and it would be only 2 hours. So it can range from 6. If you're at the track, or some days you fall training, it's 2 a days. So you'll have a 2 to 3 hour practice in the morning, then you'll come back for an hour and a half to another 2 hours later in the afternoon. So
how much of this do you how much time before you tried out for the trials, basically, right? Because that's
4 years.
4 years.
It's every 4 years.
Yeah, so you're pretty much sort of kind of preparing for it for 4 years. You go through periodization and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it went for lifting, and I'm probably pretty sure it's similar, but
similar.
You have a 4-year span, and yes, Olympics is right here, but then you have World Championships, which is real close to that.
So you're always
and then you have at the time we had Goodwill Games and we had Pan American Games, and so we always and then of course.
How many major competitions were there between Olympics, within the 4 years?
Well, the big ones, I mean, we had indoor and outdoor season, so we always would have at least one big one you're gunning for a year. But then there's always, smaller competitions in between that, But then for us, at least for track, it's a 7-death competition. So it doesn't matter if you're the world record holder coming into the Olympic trials, but every U.S. Championships is a trial. It's a trial for the World Championships, the Goodwill Games, the Pan Am Games, the Olympics. So you show up that day and you have to qualify, be in the top 32 to be there, and then they break it up into 2 pits. So you have a 12 and 12 Simon, or or however many.
But competing in these competitions, you're qualifying for.
You break it down, and I'm sure there's a qualifying process for you guys. For us, it's you just, whoever's the last 3 standing out of the 32 is your Olympic team. Wow. So if you have a bad day, or if it's rainy and it's shit conditions, it's it doesn't matter. We're the only country, I don't know of any other country who fucking does it. It sucks. It's the best. There are my best competitions.
As your last competition.
Yeah, it is my best competition, but it's gross. It's you feel like you're gonna yak every 5 minutes. I mean, it's I don't know whether it's from the 6 Red Bulls or the 6 hours out in Sacramento sun.
Okay, speaking of which, I know people always imagine elite athletes to be the super extra healthy people, but you and I talked about partying. I mean, you guys party like normal people. I mean, if anything, probably heavier.
What's
like,
normal?
Yeah.
normal.
but I just think that they always kind of imagine that elite athletes are just like this holier than thou when it comes to
we just pick and choose our battles better.
Yeah.
I just think you pick and choose your battles better. It's not like college where you're
not quite like partying.
You're towing up and going, but no, I mean, I don't know, like after a big championships, if you come like after an Olympics, it's like it gets nuts. People are burning off 4 years of steam,
Absolutely, totally imagine that.
You're gonna fucking celebrate.
Yeah.
You're gonna have fun, but no, I
mean
just
that's
think you
why
get
they
better.
have a styrofoam box, what beds at the Olympic Center in Japan, right? Or,
Well, yes and no.
Because it's like, Olympics make money.
No,
I mean, you've been training so hard, like steam out.
Well, you go and have fun. I mean, that's where I discovered Red Bull and vodka. Was in Sydney. I mean, they brought a whole new level to staying up late. But no, we're human. I mean, you pick and choose your battles. Like an indoor season, you let it rip because you want to. You gotta have fun too.
Yeah,
There's gotta be a balance.
Because again, I know you two as individuals, as people. Like to me, it's like I feel like, come on, they're not holy. Like
no.
Yeah, like
and
no.
I mean, you guys eat my donuts, so I know you're like,
and I still love sugar.
Forbidden.
Funny enough, every Wednesday was my ice bath day. And so I would swing by the gas station. They knew me by name. They'd throw my 2 bags of ice up on the counter. And I live in small town Jonesboro, Arkansas. And they're like, chocolate or jelly filled. And so to get through my first 3 minutes, the first 3 minutes of an ice bath are the worst before you just go numb. And then, so I'd always have a donut in each hand. And I would eat.
That's why we're friends. Like through these.
So I would eat donuts to get me through my first, to get me through that first 2 or 3 minutes, and that was every Wednesday.
See, donuts are medicinal, practically. They're very therapeutic.
Exactly. They were at that time. I probably wouldn't have been so. I probably would have jumped out if I didn't have something distracting me, and it was donuts. It's always been donuts. Oh yeah.
Actually, coach, I always kind of imagine, whenever I did weightlifting, it's like I always imagined the weights to look like donuts. So one of these days, I want to go back to the gym.
You could just paint them up,
put sprinkles on the bumper plates.
Mix it up.
Yeah,
it would be fun.
We should do that. Coach, you just started a nonprofit recently. Tell us about that. So we have a mutual friend who kind of helped you with all the paperwork.
Yeah, well, I didn't start it because I don't know anything about business, or very little.
Well, the paperwork end of it. See, you're very focused on just helping the kids, training, the act of it. And I totally relate with that because I'm kind of the same, where I feel like I just want to make the donuts, but I know that we got to, somebody please somebody help us run this thing.
It's awesome that people.
Yeah.
Well, I've been fortunate because I could run the gym, the business side half-assed because I have a very good job as a firefighter.
Yeah.
So I did it for a while, but then it wasn't right for me to be sustaining with taking money out of my own pocket.
Yes. Because I want to talk about sustainability.
Yeah, after a while, I started thinking, I need to buy my boat because it's mine.
Yeah.
But then other people started running the business. And I had a lot of help.
Yeah.
But last year, I have a good friend, Joy Gannon.
Yeah.
So we met, her.
Yeah.
So we talked story. She always came up with this idea of trying to help out with the kids. Because with the kids, I don't want to charge.
Yeah.
I could do it for free. I would do it for free because that's the way I train. I never paid. But then her brother, some big wig in a big corporation.
Yeah.
Started, I think she said following me in social media. She did sell me to him.
Mm-hmm.
So following, I think. So John said, he talked to me, asked me a few questions, and I said, well, this is what I do. How do you run a business? I don't know. Who balances your checkbook? I don't know. Is there money in your checking account? I don't know. And it's the truth. So he goes, what about the kids? I said, the majority don't pay.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, I'm gonna make you a nonprofit. So like, okay, I've heard that before.
So wait,
He
so
comes up.
Yeah.
He comes up with the binder, sends that. I get emails from this 2 law firms that he has very good contacts with. And all of a sudden he comes back with the binder. It's all sent to me with instructions on what to do.
So are you switching the gym completely to a nonprofit?
No,
Pretty much,
not
Not really.
entirely.
Mhm.
But then it'll give me a better avenue even to market because now I'm not afraid to ask for shit.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know all of these years it's a labor of love. We're trying to give back the best we
Yeah,
can.
it's so true.
So we said I've been blessed with a good job, but now I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
When we
As you
finally,
should.
we finally get our first fundraiser, I'll be asking everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
The intent is good.
I've always
With no child.
Yeah, I've always thought that about you and about the gym because I know you if you can avoid charging people, you would, it's just come in and work out. But
The
again,
CrossFitters I charge 3 times the amount.
exactly. So
Because you know how much
I'm
time
kidding.
we have.
I love CrossFit. People are gonna be so
No, they're
offended.
amazing.
Yeah, I have some of my best friends in the gym.
yeah.
They motivate me to go work out.
Ow.
From CrossFit. And I did people say, you should work out. I'm like, why?
Oh yes.
Why
So
should I work out?
how does that
Really?
work?
Well, no,
I'm just gonna work out so I can golf and surf and
Yeah.
go fishing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna work out
I know.
just to
Yeah,
compete.
how
That was for
No.
osteoporosis.
I'm trying to save my back.
How does that
I
feel like
know.
now, like working out, right? Like I kind of, I'm not at that level, but to me, it's I'm at that point where I'm working out to move, to keep moving, and because I don't want to, it's just
End up
our
like
nature
me.
anyways.
Yeah.
We like being active. We like being strong. I think a big part of our identity is like, hey, can I still move, right?
Yeah.
If we're achy, it's like, holy fuck, this is not me.
It
Like,
sucks.
what's your name? Who are you? Like, I am being possessed right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't believe it. If I have any pain, I was like, not me. It's some fucking evil
Demon.
spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's me. So, like, how do you approach? I know that it's hard because you don't have that same purpose, right? But
Structure, yeah.
obviously, you always want to be physically active. And so, how do you approach training now, just to be healthy and be strong and not be achy all the time? Because just because
I mean,
you're 20.
I know. I like to try different stuff out now, like all kinds of functional patterning and like things like that. I mean, I still have my old school, some things I will probably always do. Like I have a set of like adjustable hurdles and I do all kinds of mobility.
I saw that your hurdles at her house. I go visit her in her house. She's got her hurdles.
Yeah, so I mean, we used to have to do 1,000 of them before we could even start like our training regimen, because it's like you really want to, make sure like your whole hip girdle
I need
is strong.
that. I totally need to train with you just for the hip part.
Yeah, I mean, and funny enough, that's where my injuries have been. But like, no, I mean, we used to have to spend a bunch of time going over them, back and forth, undering them, because it incorporates strength and flexibility. But more or less, it's stability in that corset of strength, And so, I still like to do those. But I like to try. Like I like to do some Pilates now, and I like to do some yoga. But like, I do.
Do you do yoga?
I like to surf. I'm not.
You still surf.
I'm not like a yogi, but I do it because
It's just
let's fucking face it. Almost 50 is like you're like, and I'll say my
What?
age. I'm okay with it. Like trying to stretch and stuff. I'm like, what? I used to be gym class. This is embarrassing. So I just want some strength, or some flexibility. But I like doing circuits. Like for me, it's just like because I had the tendency to be a gym rat. Like I can find myself in a gym for 2 to 3 hours, not a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, 90 minutes. Let's do a 10 movement circuit, full body, 90 seconds rest.
and you're still you're
Full, and we do it all. And I try to incorporate. For me personally, it's like as much sensory as I can. So balance, if I can put a Bosu ball down, I use dumbbells.
Do you plan your workouts then? Yeah.
I know how to,
Yeah, so you write your own program.
Yeah, so I use a lot more.
Like you don't go into the
dumbbells,
gym like,
no.
what the fuck do I do today?
No, I have to have a purpose because if not, I'm gonna be there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks fun, and then you can't walk the next day. No, I'm like a little like I have to have that type A plan because if not, and I have to have it written down because I'm like, oh, I can do that. And you're like, no, you're not at maximum strengthness. We're at integrative strength. No. So I have to reel it in. But I don't know. I like that. Like I said, I have more time constraints with a kid and a job and all that stuff. So it helps me keep focused, time constraints, and I like
focus now is like the time
I just want to fuck with stuff now. I just want to see what I can do. Like I'm gonna say, okay, like if I put dyno discs underneath my feet and I'm gonna do some squats, like let's see what that looks like. Or like this is getting a little bit easy. Let's add a balance factor to it, or something more sensory instead of like a barbell. Let's try dumbbells or kettlebells because you have to incorporate more. So I try to incorporate as much of the sensory as I can when I'm working out. I try to maximize that because I'm like, we're never walking through one plane of motion. So you're all over the place. And most people get injured in the stupidest shit. So like I train in all planes of motions with all different types of balances and sensory information. So I just try to load it.
You work it with, you're doing body work now, so you deal with that all the time, people's injuries. So it reminds you as well, like, what the fuck am I doing? So that like when I go train, like, okay, I just want to avoid that. Learning.
And my body just kind of, it just honestly, you cannot do it anymore. Like as much, I mean, I don't want to sound like the old person on the podcast, but like it
it's coach.
I just can't. Like
it's a black and white photo.
I mean, I've been doing. Everyone's like, come do CrossFit. I'm like, I've been doing this since 6. Like literally, like. I did all of that, like my body doesn't want to move.
It's funny because
like I see people do the rings.
CrossFit has a lot of like gymnastics and
the rings. It looks so much fun. A ton of plyometrics, which is my favorite type of training. But no way, like I will literally blow up at your gym. Like if I hadn't done it for 25 years, hell yeah, sign me up for CrossFit. But like my body like rejects it. Like it's the plague. No, it's a hard pass. But I know what I like to do, and I'm just like I said, I like to like geek out on Instagram and all these people's pages and be like, what's that?
But especially if you already have a good understanding of the movement. So when you see something kind of novel and you have a good understanding of it, you gotta play with it, right? At this point.
Oh, there's all kinds of interesting stuff out there. Like what was it on Instagram? This is like it's like phase 6 or something. I don't know. There are 2 like amazing athletes, but a lot of their training is just about like animalistic movement and like moving different ways like an animal would, but they do kettlebells and weights and stuff. I'm just like, oh my God, like what is working out all these different facets to working out?
I forgot the name of the guest on Huberman Lab this week, but it was like some guy. I'll probably link it to.
But it's I love it.
He just focuses so much on movement and like very scientifically like why and anyways I'll forward you the link.
Oh, it's fun. I love like that's my favorite pastime. Like it's my favorite pastime is just kind of learning different and I hope to this COVID thing threw like things for a loop for like coaching stuff and like my schedule's changed like 9 times. I'm just like hopefully I'll get to coach next year because one of his buddies, Al Duarte, I'd like to coach with Al and some of these CrossFitters. Well, that would be more for him.
It didn't really change my work. So
you're a firefighter,
you were out
and with the gym, it actually helped out a lot because we had to reorganize and structure things to make it much more organized.
But how pumped were they when you come back?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
So we worked in a gray area because it was either we do that or we shut down.
Yep. No.
So I know if we shut down, it was a bummer. We survived it. Now we're busier than
ever because we have sports again on Maui. Like I think this is the first year that all the sports
which
are
is
back.
Crazy. That time where you can't play in the freaking fields while like luau's can be happening.
No,
it was really hard, and especially working in the tourism industry, it was really hard because you see the parties, you see the huge gatherings, and I don't know, like I said, me and science, we get along real well, but like you start to feel like you've been fucking duped because it's like you turn on the TV and there's a Georgia-Tennessee game on, and I know that stadium and there's 100,000 people there, and I'm like, what the fuck? We can't even have 10 people in a gathering,
you know? Wireless isn't working so well here.
I know, and then and all the kids can't play sports. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was that was kind of insane when I'm seeing luau's happening and then kids can play.
Have sports, I know.
Outdoors.
And it's such,
Or
outdoors,
have,
exactly.
Their parents watching 10 feet apart in a stadium that
I
are
know.
almost 20,000 people.
Super hard to watch. Yeah, I mean, there's some kids. I remember I started coaching at Baldwin as freshmen, and I realized like they are freshmen, sophomores, like they're done. Like they're not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be coaching them the next time I go back. Like they graduated and they missed it all.
Yeah.
You know, and you realize it's
How
like
do you feel with that with the Olympics being in Japan at this
this past
in the middle-
Olympics.
Yeah, the past
Holy
Olympics.
shit!
I mean,
I know, like one of the guys I asked for advice to go, Dane Miller, he had 5 athletes in the Olympic Games. So I have good advice, and that because
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to make up my own training routines.
Yeah.
So I talked to them. He said it was interesting. Then even when like the weightlifting team, they were on Oahu training.
Yeah.
It was such a sad experience. I feel bad for them because they could not experience the entire the Olympic Games in its entirety.
No,
So
and
it's
they're
pretty a lot of
special. Yeah, like there's some special things.
Yeah, they had to
that-
go in the beginning. Some couldn't go to the closing ceremony. Some couldn't go to the opening ceremony. So it's a bummer.
Yeah, and I mean, there's already the stress of just being at the Olympics, and then those people are testing every day. Like, so
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody heard, but one of our U.S. Pole vaulters, and he was a defending silver medalist, American record holder at the time. He fucking tested positive, and it was most likely a false positive
Yeah.
because he took 3 more COVID tests post that test, and they all were negative. But
shit.
there was a
And then he
Yeah.
no competing clause against
Yeah.
that. So automatically in a quarantine hotel, 10 days, literally you don't come out. There's no windows, there's no nothing. No, the vitamin D that's supposed to be
Yeah.
good. So yeah, I mean
How can
like
you
literally, so not only these athletes are just fucking Russian roulette, you know, hope to God you don't test positive that day, or in Sam's case, have a false positive, you know, but it's just like, so I just think there was exercise. I mean, I think, you know, talking to a few friends that competed, like, there's still that, like, you know, it's the fucking Olympics and it's go time, you know, and like, no matter whether there was, you know, of course you feed off the energy of the crowds in the stadiums and people watching, you know, of course that's always, but I think that you don't ever, they're just like, you don't lose perspective that you're at the fucking Olympics and
Yeah.
there's medals on the line and you've trained 4 years for this, and like, you know, it's been delayed a year now, you know, it's just like, I mean, I was watching some of the creative shit some of those kids got, like some of the professional athletes on the circuit, they were like, the former world record holder in France has, of course, a pole vaulting pit in his backyard. And then Mondo Duplantis, he's like the phenom, that's the world record holder currently, and he's like 19 or 20 at the time, I can't remember. But they got like 3 or 4 pole vaulters together, they did this live stream, and they made up their own competition, like who can take the most jumps at like 17 feet. But it was just like, that's the kind of stuff you saw, like you weren't seeing the big Diamond League competitions like I'm watching on Peacock right now. You know, all of them are going on with full stadiums now, but like literally, like that's how they had to prepare, and I'm just like, it's so weird watching that. I'm like, how do you just keep it together, you know? And then a couple of them got COVID pretty good, you know, where they were out for 3 months, and that's 3 months of training down the drain, you know? And it's just like, I can't imagine training under those circumstances. It's like, not only are you looking forward to the whole experience, like the opening ceremonies and the closing ceremonies and everything.
No crowd.
Yeah. And that's like
No, like I don't
family.
no family, nothing. Like it was nothing. Coaches, and it was just like, I don't know. I can't imagine it. Like I literally have no touchstone with that. I'm just like, no, because that made the Olympics. You know, like that was.
But it is,
That was
but
the
it was,
Olympics. You know, and just like seeing just people excited. You know, and all the different nationalities and countries and everybody coming together, and it was just. It's so much fun. Like I had such a good experience, you know, with the whole experience. But I'm just like,
did you guys know anybody that went to the recent Olympics in Japan?
yeah.
I
I mean, I'm getting further and further removed. Just being out here, I'm not like is involved with it. But this next Olympics might be, depending on how these next two, because it's only 3 years for the next Olympics now,
right? Because
instead of 4.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if some of them continue through. But it's cool. Like coming from the very first Olympic team for the women's pole vault, and now this generation that's competing right now are the first generation of pole vaulters, women pole vaulters that have been born. Like they could have started at birth pole vaulting.
Yeah.
So it's like this is the first generation that's had it at their access.
Yeah. So
since they were born. And I'm just like right on, and just to watch it, like it's so cool to be like, we paved that way for you bitches.
I was there.
Like, we went through all the dog fights, and we had to compete in all the exhibition meets until it was like ratified.
Yeah.
But what's funny? I remember that year. I mean, not to get on like a women's kick, but I remember that year. Like in Sydney, it was like the first time for the women's steeplechase, first time for the women's pole vault, but first time for the women's triathlon. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's
like
so
how weird is that?
First time for women's weightlifting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who was that? Oh
That's
my god, I
lifetime.
can't remember. Like the what's the heavier weight class? She was a young girl, like 16, and it was in 2000. And I remember watching her.
Cheryl?
Oh, she was younger. Yeah.
Cheryl.
Yeah, she was strong. I remember being. So for little stints of time, my boyfriend at one time was training at Athens, Georgia, and that's where all the badass throwers at that time were training.
She's a thrower.
She lifted down.
Cheryl was a thrower first.
She'll throw then.
Okay, because I remember seeing her in the weight room, and I'm just in there doing my pole vault thing, and we're swinging on fucking high bars, and all of a sudden, like, white zombie gets fucking whipped on. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you just fucking see people pacing, and Adam Nelson, and all these huge throwers, like the discus throwers, the shot putters, the javelin throwers, and they're just like, just like at each other's face screaming. I'm like, sweet Jesus, what's going on? And it was a max day for them. And so they just were going off, and I'm just like, oh my god, I thought it was going to be a fight.
It was like a games, basically, where it was like they brought out the weightlifters, the usually martial arts and throwers. I forget what it was called. It was like it was just a bunch of Olympians kind of doing a tour across the country, and I forget what it was called because it was really fun to watch. Like the sports that were not like, not your typical
mainstream basketball.
Titan Games, I think.
Oh, okay.
Does that make any sense?
There was the Titan Games, Did The Rock put that on or something like that?
No. But it was through the Olympics. It was like an Olympic committee, like just putting it out there, just trying to promote these sports that are not normally watched, like the gymnastics or like the beautiful ones, or people that know about.
Oh, interesting.
So like shot putter. I mean, throwers.
There's all kinds of fun ones.
There's
like
just
animal versus athlete. They had one time where they would, like, some of the sprinters would run against like fucking cheetahs. And then I remember one of the javelin throwers. It was Bro Greer.
I was kind of found
he was on the American Gladiator. Do you remember that program they used to have where they used to beat? Yeah.
I remember the show because I actually had a friend who tried out for the show, and he's a small guy, but he was very strong.
Oh yeah,
and he didn't get in on the games even if he beat all the guys because he would make the what's the name of the show? American Gladiators look bad. Because they look all tough.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like kind of, he's not a very big guy, but he's so strong and agile. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what it's all about anyway.
He didn't get on the show.
It's kind of like, American Ninja or something, Warrior?
Yeah. He was too good, because, it's a TV show.
Oh, no, it's really a TV show. It's like, for fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, no.
But how fun, though. I mean, just thinking about it, again, memories, going down memory lane. Even,
oh no!
Yeah, it's always fun. Every time, it's every year. You go through Olympic Day. It's something to kind of remind you achieve something that is so unique and different because not everybody gets there, right? The dedication that it takes. My last guest was a chef, and we were talking about dedication and hard work in the kitchen, and it's the same thing, really.
Crosses over to
it crosses over that this discipline. you know, we were talking about how there's like a lot of young chefs now who don't know the value of sacrifice, and so it's you know they can't handle like real life hard work.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sports, again, that's kind of one thing that it teaches you. You're a coach now, so it's like that's really what you're imparting with the kids and with your daughter. You know, it's like sports is like a great thing to just be ready for life.
No, I think it's
You know?
like, yeah, I think it teaches you kind of all the lessons you need to know.
Yeah,
you know?
that's outside of the typical standardized
Yeah.
education. Sports, unfortunately, like for many years, I mean, that's sports and music and arts, you know, were the first to get cut out of the budget.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's actually what brings us together as like humans. Like our humanity is defined by what you learn
Builds
from
your
these
soul, your
experiences.
personality. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I get the question so much. Oh my God, you know, is your dog gonna do this? Is your daughter gonna do that? I'm just like, do you realize you have a 1% chance of making Olympic team?
Yes,
Like, that's the
yeah.
statistic. And I'm like,
There's actually
Are
even
you-
less than that.
are you fucking kidding me? I'm like,
there's
am I gonna set my
really-
daughter up? Like,
That's why I feel like such a has nothing to do with me, but I feel like such a badass number 2 of the Olympians on the island. Like, how many Olympians are there on Navi? Like
This is a
4.
few.
4.
I know 4.
You know, Lauren.
Lauren Spalding, I was on the 2014 with her. And then, funny enough, I just
You met
ran
him.
into, I think his name is Anthony DeSantos. And we were in coffee shop over in Dolphin Plaza.
Yeah.
And I was making my coffee, and he saw my tattoo, and
And
he was like, Olympics? I was like, oh yeah, a long time ago. And he lifts his shirt up, and he had one too. I was like, oh, what's up?
Yeah, right.
And I was like, marathoner? And he's like 400 hurdler. And I'm like, so he's from Brazil. Yeah, he's from
So we
Brazil.
competed for Brazil.
But at the same time I did. We were on the same
that's
Olympic
right.
team, and we were on that, like, at least 2 years of the circuit together. Like, all the big meets. Like, he was there. And I'm just like, how did I not know you? Because you kind of get to know everybody over the years. You
Yeah.
see everybody at the same competitions,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, huh. But it was really cool. Yeah, that was just in the last 6 months. I'm like,
So how long has he lived here?
he's been here for like 9 or 10 years.
Oh,
I'm like, how
so
do
we
I
missed
not
the
know
boat.
you? Yeah.
Oh God, no, that's cool. I gotta
Yeah.
meet this guy, so I'm the coolest chick.
Yeah. So we're gonna meet up for coffee and like exchange war stories. But it was
Yeah.
funny because I was watching. I think it was Oslo was just on TV. It's one of the big Diamond League competitions. I'm so in love with Peacock right now. I don't know promo, but I'm just like, I love Peacock because
Wait, what's Peacock?
it's just on the smart TV. It's one of the channels, but they carry all the big track meets over that's going on overseas or even in the United States, and nobody carries track. You know, like NBC. We won't go there. But anyways. So anyways.
Nobody cares like weightlifting.
But I
ever.
saw another DeSantos, and I was texting him. I'm like, dude, I just saw another Brazilian. He's like, yeah, he's the next 400-meter hurdler. I'm like, he's got the same last name
Where
as
does he
you.
live?
The Anthony?
Yeah.
He lives, I think, down here in Kihei or something like that. So he's around the area. I haven't seen him since that day. We keep meaning to like just exchange stories.
Because you guys met at like a line somewhere. Or
TJ Maxx.
TJ
I met
Maxx,
him when I
yeah.
first moved to Kihei because
I
I had been in
remember.
haiku
Yeah,
for
and
6 years. I was with
you
my
saw her
stepmom.
tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it. Yep.
I think
But
it's
that's
just
how
having
I
funny
feel.
conversations like, hey, you cannot possibly have that tattoo.
No,
unless you're right.
no.
Did you earn it? There's a sticker?
Right, because
Yeah.
you have the kind. Yeah. Where's your tattoo, coach?
I took it off.
Actually, funny enough, that's how I feel about my one on my back. Because I did have it on my back,
Yeah.
and my skin just doesn't hold color in
So it doesn't
tattoos.
make-
So I have like 2.5, 3 maybe
Oh,
tattoos.
you just have to redo it.
So like 2, no, I'm
Oh,
gonna
is
cover
it
it with
the new
something
one?
else, and I just got it here. I'm
When
just
did
like,
you get this?
oh, I don't know,
This is nice.
5 or 6 months ago.
Because that looks so clean and nice. Yeah.
Yeah, did it. Camila up in Haiku.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did it. Yeah, I just sent her. I was like, I just threw a bunch of pictures at her. And I just like come up with something.
Yeah.
And she's done a couple of mine, and yeah, she came up with this. I'm like, love it because it has the olive branches
Yeah,
on it.
I love
and
it. It looks
I just
really
want it
good.
simple and no color because I just can't color.
And
but
coach,
it's
are you
kind
gonna
of like-
redo yours?
It's kind of like
I know you don't like needles. You're so funny. You're actually like, I don't like pain.
He has it. If you have one, right?
He does.
I thought
You
no,
have
he's
one.
lying. He's such a
You
liar.
have one.
It's funny enough. It seems to
During
be.
the Olympics, I never drank or did anything. And when I got that,
That's
yeah.
when you were drunk.
Yeah, I had like a quarter of a beer and I did it
Yeah.
in a dark alley.
Yeah, and then were you scared
Yeah,
because you don't like
dark
needles?
No, I just swallowed, probably used needle, whatever. It
It
was a bad experience,
I love touching.
but I'm afraid.
I do. I cannot wait for my next set. I have to take a break because my it costs a lot, and my
Yeah.
bookkeeper keeps telling me, it's like, you can't spend all your money on tattoos. I was like, why not?
I know.
So,
It's
yeah,
funny,
it's
like if you
disappointing.
go online, you see all the different. When I was trying to figure out when I knew I wanted to put it on my arm, I was just like, well, what do I even want, or where do I want it? And you just put Olympic tattoo images, and you're just like, oh, that's interesting. And like some of the designs and incorporations, I'm like, wow, people just got
They're into-
creative,
yeah.
you know. But it's funny how it's like, I don't know, like you
So,
see a lot of them.
How do you
get
feel like
after
with
it.
the sport now, like with the art, like getting all creative, like with the sport? Have you know, obviously you've been watching it, your own sport kind of progress and change through the years. Like, how do you feel like, oh my gosh, what are the new developments in your particular sport that's so shocking or just
Fucking
different?
girls are looking more like, I mean, not to compare girls to guys, but I'm like, there's not a whole lot of difference between their vaults anymore. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I feel like a proud mama.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've watched this kind of from almost the very beginning of this sport, and I'm just like, damn, they just look more and more like guys running down the runway, and like, they're jumping over 60. Which
Yeah.
is higher
Yeah,
than some
and they're
people
lifting
in
more
college.
weights than they've ever done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's kind of, it's just cool. You know, girls, they've just gotten more technically sound and looking at,
And
different-
coaches getting
yeah.
better too, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
and
coaches know
understanding
how
it.
to-
Like I said, I think the big boost, at least for the club systems,
Yeah.
like that didn't exist, you know, before. Like my coach's club was the only club in the United States for pole vaulting. And in the last 5 years, 10 years, they're everywhere. Like kids do
Yeah.
it all the time, off season, on season.
And that's one more
You
thing.
know?
Both of you have very distinct sports that at the time weren't really popular.
No.
Pole
Not
vaulting
mainstream,
and
no,
weightlifting are
definitely
not
not.
the mainstream sports. You know,
No.
everyone who plays soccer or basketball or
Well, track
run
isn't a
track.
mainstream sport
Yeah.
in the United States, not when you're competing. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
weightlifting, the same, not when you're competing with
Throwers,
baseball,
yeah.
football, soccer,
Yeah.
basketball. But if you go overseas, we're the second biggest sport. So it's like you go and
Pole
compete in 50,000 people stadiums all the time.
And pole vaulting.
Pole vault, no,
Track.
in track.
Track.
Now, pole vaulting is kind of like what's it in the rodeo? Bull riding. How they're kind of their own entity. Like when you think of like a rodeo, you think of bull
Yeah, I was
riding.
gonna say pole vaulting.
Well, that's
is
kind
like
of
a track,
like-
but it's so
Pole
different.
vaulting, I mean, minus like road racing and marathons and stuff like that, because we would have separate competitions where they would just set up runways, like through castles, through street fairs, through breweries, you know, and we'd be in the middle of anywhere. And over in Europe, it's so much fun, especially in Germany. Like, you have a DJ that's pumping music,
Hell yeah.
there's people 360 around you, and you get to pick your own music that you want when you're running down the runway.
Yeah!
And people just are getting kind of stupid and crazy and a little drunk and just getting wild. And it's just like, those are the best meets. Those are my best
fun.
memories. Yeah, oh my God. Because you're still competing and your marks are still ratified. But it's like when you win, like when I went in Germany, you get like a huge beer stein. And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, like a whole book.
And they're like, drink, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, it made it fun. Like, it's like,
Oh,
it
that's
wasn't
fun.
so like stuffy. And there's nothing wrong with normal track meets, but it's like, it's just more enjoy. Like, it's fun,
Like
you
with
know?
weightlifting,
A little more personality.
like it's a very quiet sport. I mean, other than like oh hips or whatever, like you're cheering each other on. There's really not a lot of like cheerleaders or you know
Yeah.
big crowd screaming
Well, that's
for
where CrossFit
weightlifting.
made it more fun. And
Yeah,
I think,
pumping
like-
the jams.
I think it's safe to say, like in America, we started having multiple platforms at these big
I'm getting
meets
hungry, so
because
please pause.
there's something going on at all times. And then there's music at each platform in
Yeah,
between or
that's
whatever
what
it
they
is.
do.
So
Yeah.
you gotta make it much more user friendly or spectator friendly.
Yes, because
We should
weightlifting is
music.
You gotta make some
Like
fun.
music is always like this huge motivator.
Watch
Everyone-
CrossFit.
I know.
It's so much fun. I make fun of it, but then
No,
I
it's fun
enjoy
to watch.
watching.
Oh my god!
Well,
and
I love
those
it.
girls
It's
are
the same thing.
beasts and guys.
Oh,
I
it's freaking
find it to
amazing.
be like the WW. Did I say right? WW of weightlifting, or decathlete competitions, because they have the loud music. It's a party. It's
It's fun. That's what makes those meets
Yeah.
fun. But the coolest thing about even though CrossFit's
I'm gonna grab one
Cheese
of
balls.
these.
kind of not my jam, like my personal jam orthopedically. But it's really cool, just like even at my work, watching some of the girls get involved in it, and like they're dedicated. Like they're up at 5 a.m. to go make sure they do a workout before they show up to work, and like I can appreciate that more than anything. It's almost like their social circle too, and they get super stoked about it. You know,
And
even
they
like
push
small
the community.
gains.
Yes.
Yeah, but
They're all about
they're moving. They're fit. Like these are
They're
people
doing
that were
something.
not
At the end of the
working
day-
out before that. They were not. They were not active.
That's the part
like
I love
that.
about it.
Yeah, I
They're
think
active,
it's.
and they make
I
it
think
more
it's
fun.
good for the community.
more accessible.
Yeah.
accessibility, because
You
that's
just
the
need to
thing.
teach clinics.
Yeah, you
On
you
the
guys just
listing.
need to teach clinics to make sure that they avoid hurting themselves.
You know what teaching clinics? You know what she said earlier about coaching? Not because it's you. She's like light years ahead. Like when people are trying to teach now and coach now, you don't
Yeah.
find too many people like that. Not like her, and she
Yeah.
understands that.
Yeah.
And it's such. So I don't. So that's why I like coaching kids. We do basic fundamentals, and I don't want to go into extremely technical
Well, because there's
stuff,
no ego with
programming.
the kids, and then you deal with.
And you can find such open minds,
Yeah.
and they can compare. Well, this is what I did before, and like keep going. So I just teach basic fundamentals. I'm not that good or smart. I can't read your thesis that you read online, on social media.
Exactly.
No,
Right,
you
this is
said
so much
so.
fun. I keep forgetting the time, but before we wrap up, I really want to I want you guys to talk about, your journey, and how, like, if you have any obviously advice for anyone who's even thinking that they're anywhere, like, hey, that's what I want to do. It's tough. It's a lot of dedication to try to get to that level in sports, and like you feel like, okay, you started young, but not too young. So like, how do you feel about like up and coming athletes that are probably starting out a little bit late? And we're in Hawaii, so we don't have the same, like you're saying, the club systems. It actually amazes me whenever somebody from Hawaii actually makes it anywhere in that level, just because we don't have the rights or as much support system as
There are opportunities.
Well,
Opportunities.
resources.
Yeah,
Yeah,
resources.
opportunities. A lot of it's just getting the opportunity.
you're from Arkansas. Whatever. It's still like small town.
I'm not from Arkansas.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm from St. Louis.
You're from St. Louis, but that's where
I went
you
to
train.
college. No, in a very small town in Arkansas. Yeah, we traveled everywhere for competitions, and we lived in a really supportive town. But
Yeah.
um,
But pole vaulting, I'm assuming, they didn't have a lot of like a big communities all about pole vaulting at the time.
it's a community within its community. Like as far as always look for resources. Even if it's out here on Maui, there are hidden gems everywhere.
Yeah.
Even with pole vaulting, like some of the best technical coaches out here that I know, like one of my former training mates that I trained with the 2004 Olympics with, Robert McLean or Bubba McLean, they call him out here. He's born and raised out here.
Bubba lives in
Yeah. So he
across the
was,
street down the road.
It's
there's
amazing
this-
that he's on
this,
Maui.
I think an athlete who made the Winter Olympics.
oh
He
yeah,
trains a bunch of the surfers,
That's
and
amazing.
right there.
yeah. So he lives now here. He moved back during COVID, and his wife Shun, she represented, I believe, Nigeria. Then Al Duarte is the one who, he's like one of the masters,
And he's
CrossFitters.
Five times.
Holy shit!
CrossFitter,
And he's still
Bubba's still-
training like he's in his 20s.
He's a freak. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a freak of nature.
That's just not right.
But yeah, that was Bubba's coach, and then, even like that's just in the track world, but like, people like Lauren, like Spalding out here, like some of the coaches, some of the coaches out here are like, they may be few and far between, but there's really good information out here. I don't know any other sports beyond my sport but I know that they exist.
What is it about you that you think made you be one of the top ranking athletes in your sport? I mean, like, that you think you can impart, or at least like think, okay, this is what I did, and hopefully.
A lot of mine. I don't want to. It was.
You're very intense human. I know that. I'm very competitive. She's a good friend of mine, so I can say that, and I know how she gets really, really intense about everything.
Yes. So I was meticulous. I guess the biggest takeaway is anything you're interested in, become a student of the event. Yeah. Like for me, like the biggest thing I did as an athlete, especially coming into a sport that I had never done, like when I came into pole vaulting, I had all the tools. Like I was a sprinter, it's a long jump takeoff, and I was a gymnast for 12 years. So I had all the tools, I just had never held a pole in my hand. So it came together quickly, just because I was athletic. But for me, it's such a technical event, or whatever it is you want. Become a student of your event, know who's in your event, watch video, learn how to train correctly, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and pursue it like it's your job. If you're passionate about it, if you're interested in it, and everybody's potential is going to look different on everybody, but wouldn't it be fun to find out what your potential is, what your greatness is? And that's what it was for me. I was like, I just fucking wanted to see what I could do. And so I just kept dissecting and dissecting and dissecting, and I just owned and honed in on every ounce of weakness I had. Because it's always fun to do the stuff you're good at, but the stuff that you're not good at and have to grind through that is a whole different deal. So I just kept finding where I could work on it, kept dissecting, and I just became a student of my event. I'm like, okay, well, who does this part of the jump that I want to emulate? And I would find video, and I would stay after practice and watch 6 or 7 other jump practices just to see and hear the information, that my coach was telling, and then watching and just putting a bank of reels of information in my head. So become a student of your event, figure it out, find it out, research it, look at it. There's lots of resources, thank God for Instagram and YouTube, because it's endless amounts of information, and just making sure it's the right information, and just owning what you're what you need to, just because Sergey Bubka jumps 20 feet 2 inches doesn't mean that his strengths and weaknesses are the same as your strengths and weaknesses. I think that's the biggest part, is just owning where you can work on your vault, and grinding through the maybe not so fun stuff. But there's always stuff to learn. I think the more you learn about your event and find out where your opportunities lie, where they lie where you live, or where you can go to learn more, or
if you have to move, right?
Or figuring that out. But student of your event, that's my takeaway.
Coach, you as an athlete and now a coach, what do you have to say for the kids? We haven't had somebody like you. Wait, nobody's gone to the Olympics for Olympic lifting since you? Is that right? From Hawaii?
I don't think so.
Oh, holy shit! Okay, well let's bring one back up there. So, what do you have?
It's interesting because my weightlifting career was pretty short.
Yeah.
But then, when people ask me, "Oh, you lifted? Imagine if you lifted a whole lot longer." The thing is, I prepared all my life because I participated in a whole bunch of other things.
Right.
Yep.
Same thing. And then I was prepared to lift weights at that time, and I came across the right people who I learned and became the student of the game. Yeah. And I'm extremely anal about, and I'm a perfectionist. That drives me insane.
I know, but I don't think you can be a professional athlete without being type A.
Exactly. I don't think you can be really good at what you do unless you are that. No matter what it is, whether it be
golf.
Golf, yeah.
So I got offered a scholarship in golf. It wasn't weightlifting.
Oh, that's
because
I didn't know that.
And people go, "Oh, you're such a natural at golf." They have no idea I hit 1,000,000 balls and I practice perfect.
Yes.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to win a tournament this year. That's the way I think.
Yeah.
But you know what I preach to the kids now? So I'm so non-competitive when it comes to the kids who come in the gym. Far removed from that. Make sure they're stronger, they're faster, more agile, and I don't preach competition.
You don't?
No. you be the best you can be. And if they ask some of the kids and the parents, they ask me what it took for you to make the Olympic Games, and I said, oh, you want to know? Then I'll explain to you what it takes.
Yeah.
No.
But it's far and few between when they're going to ask that, because I find that a lot of short-sighted coaching sometimes,
Yeah.
or parents who have these short-sighted or pipe dreams for the kids. So I don't judge any of that. I just have my own approach, and it's not very competitive.
Yeah.
Basic fundamentals, and then go have fun.
So yeah, I
That's
think
all
that's.
I gotta do. But then I'm coaching her kid. She has no. Is she
Is
strength
she-
and conditioning?
She really?
Oh yeah.
Wait.
She doesn't have a choice. You don't find thoroughbred
Is she
genes
really?
like that.
No, not yet.
Did she ever? I said that to her 5 years ago.
I know.
Thoroughbred genes.
Yeah.
No, the kid is strong.
I know.
All around.
She's awesome.
Thoroughbred
Yeah.
genes. Dad, mom, and dad.
Yeah.
Especially mom.
Yeah, especially mom.
Thanks. I think
Especially-
another good piece of advice, I mean, if we're talking just straight kids, like kids try to specialize so
Too early.
and everything. And I
Too
think my
early,
best
too
big
early.
advice
Too
is try
early.
it all. It makes you a better athlete.
Yes.
Inadvertently, you're training for anything and everything, and you're looking at burnout so young
I'm gonna swear.
and injury.
Because it fucking pisses me off when
Like,
I
you know
see
what,
kids
they try to
specialize so
specialize
early.
so
we can cut
early.
and say fuck,
You know, World Cup team
motherfucker.
soccer. You know, like the majority of them were like 2 or 3 sport athletes.
Yeah.
But now I see specialization way too early and all these injuries.
No.
And it
yeah.
pisses me fucking off.
And it's
I don't
burnout.
that.
Like
Burnout.
kids get burnout.
Yeah.
Like it's like no matter
It's
what you're
crazy.
doing, you're making yourself a better athlete. No matter what you do, what you play, or how it feeds your soul, whether it's playing
Exactly, that's
violin
what
or the
Yeah.
orchestra, who knows what it
Exactly.
is.
Kind of like what you're saying, your old coach is like teaching you more like.
He taught me this one about
like,
weightlifting.
yeah.
He talked about everything else,
Right.
and he sent me away. He's that good of a coach.
Yeah.
So you can learn about weightlifting over here at the Olympic Training Center
Yeah.
from these other
And that's
guys.
awesome when
Unbelievable. You
a
don't meet
coach
too many
can
people
put
like that.
ego aside and be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
go work with somebody else on this. Like my coach was awesome and said, you know what? I'm not the best for your training regimen, but I will help you become the best pole vaulter, like technical coach,
Awesome.
which is the hardest part. And so I took that upon myself and figured out where to go and where to get resources. And I was patient enough for trial and error, but I just think like, I don't know, like kids need to be kids still, you
Yeah.
know, have
Let 'em
fun.
play.
Like,
Absolutely.
don't
play.
make them compete till they're like half dead. Like, let them go to the fucking roller skating rink
Yeah.
or like whatever they want to do. Like, but I think specializing. I mean, there's very few sports that involve a 7 or 8 year old. Maybe gymnastics. I mean, I remember competing that young in gymnastics. But
Yeah.
that's a short-lived sport. You're done it out pretty
Yeah.
early. But you know, try it all. Figure
Yeah.
out what it is, where
Exactly.
you're
It's
gonna
life.
be fun at. You
It's
know,
life.
what's more than anything, what's fun.
Yeah.
Because if it's fun, it's never gonna feel like work.
Yeah.
It's not. You're gonna get into it. You know, like it's have fun. Get fucking strong. Because no matter what, like it carries through your life.
Exactly. Like, I mean, how does like pole vaulting carry through your life now? Outside of like the physical like aspect of the sport itself, like the mentality.
Like what? I mean, everywhere. Like I'm meticulous in almost every facet
Do you think
of
you're
my life.
meticulous before or after the sport? Like, is it your personality?
Dude,
or
it
is
started in
Long time
gymnastics.
ago.
I mean, I was
Is that what you're
competing.
gonna say?
I was
I
competing.
think you're
against-
built for it.
I know, but you are. Like,
It's
it's
in
a
here.
mentality.
So, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I started competing at
Because like I said,
6.
I mean, how many people make it to the Olympics?
Less than 1%.
Less than what?
1%.
No, it's like
Less than
0.0.
1%,
Yeah, but how cool is it if you, like, just were a part of your team sport, you know? Or, like, got a college scholarship. Help
Yeah.
them
I
now.
think that's real.
You know?
Not the
But
limit
who
is, but
knows?
maximizing
It's
your
like-
potential.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what
And
you
that's
do.
the bigger picture.
And find
you
your
know?
calling.
But, like, as
Yeah.
far as daily life, it carries through your job, it carries
Yes.
through parenting, you know? I mean, there's just a lot of,
Well, never carried on to my business management.
oh, shit.
I know it sucks.
Damn it!
Me
Damn
too.
I have
Wrong
a lot of follow through, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like I don't know how to half-ass something.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think that's what it is true. It's like you cannot half-ass something to make it to the Olympics, right? And I think I mean
No.
if if I can correlate it to what I do, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
With chefs, you know, it's like
Yeah.
You're the
yeah,
only
you
one
can
who's
go.
anal about sprinkles. Like I don't know
I know.
anybody who makes their own sprinkles. I mean,
or anything really like
Can't hire- yeah.
the details that we put into whatever it is that
No.
we do, your sport or your art or whatever it is. It's like it takes a lot more than just like, you know, we all want to have fun. And I think it's first and foremost very important. But if you want
First
to
and
excel, there goes hard work. You know, like you have to have the backbone for it to, you know, when it's not so fun, when you're not having a great day, you're hurting, you're tired, you're getting yelled at, you're like, fuck, I quit, you know, but some of us don't quit at what it is that we do because something else is in that brain that says, I'm not gonna give up because I haven't won yet.
No, I mean that's what keeps you coming back for a second Olympics.
We play to win.
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
play to
I
win.
know,
Exactly.
no, and
We play to win, and
losing
it's
is
a tough
hard,
thing
you
to.
know, but it's
try not to say that, but
But
we do.
yeah,
But-
no,
Yeah,
that's
you
what you do. Even though, like,
I absolutely.
no, and you know, no matter what your competition is,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I think that you do.
Sport, food,
Or anything in life.
anything in
Yeah.
life. Yeah. If
No.
you want something to
And
work
you just-
out, sorry, it takes a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I mean,
But balancing that happiness with the work. But this
But
is the
it-
thing too, is like
Makes
you're
me happy to make the most of my time and potential.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
fun
That's
to
it.
like walk away from the sport. I mean, I don't know how it was for you, but I got to walk away on my terms.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I think that was great. I felt like I'm done. Like I just remember kind of just being like, I don't know what I want to do, you know, and how am I done? I don't know. I just won my first US championships. I just PR'd again. My coach is like, are you crazy? But he was also the one who always said, you'll just know. You'll just know. Because I was just like, when you retire from this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I just, I remember getting hurt in Athens at the Olympics. And then it took me another year to get healthy. And I'm just like, I'm not fucking going out on these terms. I'm like, I need to go out on a positive note. I don't want to hate my sport,
Yeah.
you know? And so that was really important for me to like, it didn't matter what it was. It was just getting back to a point of being healthy enough to where I can compete and close that chapter feeling good about it.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people stay in it, they beat a dead horse, they're trying to stay in too long, you end up injured and just like, kind of, you end bitter, you know?
Yeah, because
So I
coaching
wanted
with
to,
everything
and on a high note, and I just like that was so important, like, for me to end that way. And I really forgot where I was going with this, but I mean, with that, I just remember like being able to wrap up the career into like this nice box, and I just remember like. Just my coach had planted that seed in my head, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to close this door, and it's like funny how some things are shoved closed for you. But I remember being in Germany, and I had 4 meets left of my season. I'm just like, I'm pimping myself out. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there, because normally you plan things meticulously, and you don't want to burn any bridge with meet promoters because you got to get invited back the next year. I'm like, fuck this! I'm going to Ukraine. I'm going to Doha. I'm just like, I went to Japan, and you know, and then back to England to Birmingham. And I remember I had Germany.
To do different meets? Or?
Yeah, I had Germany, Taiwan, one in China, and I was going to end in Colorado at this state track meet. It was just like, it was a fun meet for friends, you know? We got to wear, like, I had to wear a Superman costume. I'm like, yeah, duh. So it was a fun meet.
Well,
you
coach
know?
already had to wear a singlet, so it's kind of practical. Like
Well,
a
I mean, we
Superman
were
costume.
fucking next to nothing.
Yeah,
but, you know?
same.
So yeah, I just remember it was pouring, my spike caught the vinyl cover they had put, because we still compete in the rain, but my spike caught the vinyl cover they put over to keep the pole vaulting pit dry, and my ankle, I went this way, my ankle went this way. I tore all my lateral ligaments. I'm like, there's my decision, you know, and I'm just like, just wrapped it up in a nice little box and be like, I think I'm leaving. I had already started interviewing at colleges. I'm like, I'm just ready for the next chapter. Like, I didn't have that, you know, when you have the drive to train for the Olympics and you know, if it's teetering at all, get the fuck out. Because it's like, because there's somebody who's frothing at the mouth over there.
Yeah.
Like you can't compete with less than 100%.
Yeah.
But I just, the one piece of information, which I meant to throw in a long time ago, about what my coach gave me, that was the most valuable piece of information, and through life, I remember he would always be like he would give me my 2 cents, because a lot of times he didn't travel with us. Very rarely, actually. So we learned that was his big deal, is training us to be able to be coached by just a couple marks on the runway. He'll be like, get your numbers for this mark. He's like, and you'll know the decisions when you get up from the pit. Look where you land, you'll know where to set your standards. Yeah. And I'm just like, and what pole to be on and where your grip. So we were really meticulously trained, to not have a coach all the time, which still that's a nice crutch. But he was always just like, when you go to a competition, he's like, just know something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna hit the fan. He's like, and when it shows up, you're just like, I expected you. And so I remember being at the fucking Olympic trials, and my bus was late, and I fucking blew up a pole in the middle of the Olympic trials. And coach is like, he gave me that kind of point. I was like, oh yeah, this is it, isn't it? And then you learn to brush it off. So it's like kind of expecting the unexpected, or expecting that something's not gonna go your way, because I was so, my teammates would probably tell me this, or talk to you about this, but so anal, even when I got to the hotel
you both
room,
are.
my shampoo had to be a certain way, this had to be a certain way, and I had to wear certain underwear that were underneath my butt huggers, because these are my lucky underwear, and I had to be at the track 45 minutes early, because being late and rushed was my kryptonite, and I'm like, nope, don't like it. I don't care if I have to spend 45 minutes at the track. But anyways, when shit showed up, I was just like, oh yeah. So it didn't throw me off my game, because he would see that it would make me frazzled and not be able to handle stuff. He's like, listen, if you anticipate and know that something's gonna go wrong, when it shows up, you're like, oh, gotcha, fuck off. And then you just move forward. So,
you have something similar, Coach, about that, with all the freaking curveballs, I guess.
My coach was very similar.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't all about. He prepped me how to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
Much more than trying to focus on competition.
Yeah.
Because but he altered that type of perspective per athlete. And for me, I was happy-go-lucky, whatever.
Yeah, you're from Hawaii, man.
So
Aloha.
So for 92 Olympics, I missed my first 2 attempts. I had one more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I needed more rest, so I went up.
Yeah.
So I made that attempt, and then I carried on. Then just so happened I made the Olympic trials and I made the team. Every single coach says you don't go up. You don't go up. You missed all the attempts. Then he told me, you make or you don't make. You make this lift or you don't make it. It doesn't matter. And it's the truth.
Yeah.
My family loves me.
Oh my God, that's what my coach used to tell me.
He says that. So I could compete with as fierce I could compete fearless, as much fierce as fierce and determination. But if I missed it, there wasn't any added pressure.
Yeah.
So I left it all on that. Just so happened I made one attempt and I carried on.
And made it.
Lucky enough, I made Olympic trials and then I made Olympic team.
Yeah.
But if I missed that one lift, I probably wouldn't have made any.
Because you guys go out on failure too, then, huh?
Yeah.
Back then, now there's a very complex matrix on how you make the team. It's ridiculous. Well, in my head, it's way too complicated for my brain.
Yeah.
I mean, pole vault's always gone out on failure.
But because now they include your qualification.
You build points 4 years down, and it favors the people who are already at the top of the game.
So selection process.
Yeah, but you got swimming. You know what? The guys doing the last 2 months, 3 months, or whatever, the best go to the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So it's a little more complex with
Okay.
Yeah. It's true.
You want the best people competing now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So track and field.
That's why they do.
Like
and that's why.
Maybe the last 6 months, whatever.
Yeah. And that's how every other country. That's exactly how every other country does it.
Who's strongest now?
3 to 6 months. It's like a tally system almost, but not.
But now it's
not for track.
A quad. A quad. Now you build points and bigger meets have more points. But then you come up with some young stud who's stronger than everybody else.
Yeah, and then
they're not gonna go because they don't have enough points. But she's the strongest one, or he's the strongest one now. So it's just.
It should be now,
Listen,
because so much.
I believe.
That's.
Who's ready?
That's
to be
the
best
biggest
right now.
thing of that 4-year span. It's not about 100% about getting better and competing better. It's about your biggest number one is just staying healthy.
Yeah.
And like not
So
every
that long.
I mean that's the biggest challenge.
It's
I
funny
think.
because I wasn't going into Olympic Games. 2 of them, I was far from the strongest one, but I was the most healthy.
No, yeah,
Isn't it funny?
yeah.
The most healthy and long, and that's what I
It's
preach to the
true.
kids. And
Yeah, and that's the thing
Luckily,
too.
it
Like
worked out.
like it's good you can preach it to the kids because sometimes, like you said, there's a short, just minded we just
very
want
narrow
to know,
perspective.
Yeah,
Narrow
Short-
perspective,
short-sighted,
absolutely.
short-sighted
short-sighted.
thinking.
But really, at the end of the day, what it's supposed to teach you is life.
Life,
No, and they're great
Yeah.
life skills. And that was so funny that your coach said your parents are still gonna love you.
Yeah,
You know, your
Yeah.
cat's still at home waiting for you. And I'm like,
yeah.
it's
True.
just kind of breaking it down to something
Yeah.
very simplistic. So it just gives you almost that permission to just
go for broke.
go balls out. Yeah,
And then if it
just go
doesn't
for
work,
it.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
Fuck it. Like, just go for it, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's life, right? Like, get yourself in that position where you can be vulnerable. If it breaks, it breaks. But then you have to know, and then at least you expect that it can go both ways.
Yeah, and it's just fun. Another one was just leaving it. Like, don't lament of whether you don't live on your highs and don't live on your lows.
Because I can just
It's like
imagine
you're-
how difficult
and
it
it
is
is kind of-
mentally.
You are as good as your next meet, kind of your next competition, to an extent. I mean, you'll always have that personal best or that meeting win or
And-
whatever it is. But literally, it's just like, my coach would be like, take the positive, take one positive, take one thing you want to work on. He would never call it a negative, and be like, okay, so those are your parameters. Like, what went right, what didn't go right, and that's it. And that's it. Moving on. You know, I mean, because I remember it wasn't until 3 meets out from the Olympic trials in 2004. I mean, nobody counted on me for 2004. I mean, even though I had, one of the top marks in the country, I was inconsistent and I was injured as fuck for 2 years.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I don't know.
And you're the
it
black
wasn't-
cloud or something, and you'll be like,
It wasn't until my last 3 meets before the Olympic trials I got my shit together, and it just literally, I knew I was getting there, and I could see it, but it's just like, squash the noise, I didn't fucking listen to that, and I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't anticipate the pole break, but that's a game ender, like that's.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
Yeah, I know, that usually ends your track meet, but. Anyways, but yeah, that's the proudest moment like I've probably ever had as an athlete. I mean, yes, I'm excited to make the Olympic Games and all that, but it was that moment. Like when I have to culminate my whole entire career, it was that moment because
This break when the
my pole fucking broke, and usually you're on the pole that you need, and the pole's smaller than that. You have multiple poles during a competition, like probably 10, and you consecutively going up them, as the bar gets higher depending on conditions anyways. But so yeah, usually you're on the pole you need and the next pole is too big and the one below it's too small. And I just remember my coach was like, go down a pole. I'm like, fuck that.
sounds like an either or boyfriend that just
No, I just remember going, no fucking way. I'm like, I'm not fucking going down. There's no way I'm making the bar. I go, it's my last attempt. I'm gonna go fucking balls to the wall, and it's like, if the next pole doesn't work, it wasn't meant to be. And I just remember like fucking towing and going. I was in like 7th place. And I remember making fucking 440 or 14.5 and some metric change. And And I moved me from 6th place to the top 3. And I just remember the proudest moment was not making the Olympic team for me. It was watching my coach. It was my coach telling my dad, he's like, you can't teach that shit. He's like, what she just did, he's like, you can't teach that. And I'm like, proudest moment. My coach was giving me fucking props, and it was just like, you can't teach somebody to fucking, usually, because when guys break poles, it blows up their hands. Like there's so much recoil in those poles, like when the pole breaks, all that energy goes into your hands. For me, I just got lucky and it didn't blow my hand up, but it was just like, such like a fucking gut wrench moment.
Yeah.
It was like the proudest moment, for me in track and field, was like just towing up and saying bug it. Or sometimes it gets in your head and you're like, you get scared and you have a mental block. But
I bet. Yeah. What's your proudest moment, Coach? In weightlifting, in your sport? making
Well, in
it
the
in
sport,
and,
the Olympics,
and leaving. Yeah. Whether
like, I
it be
think
in the
going
sport or
into
making it.
92, things mapped out pretty well. So I made that team. The thing is, I moved away from my family.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I trained as hard as I could and it worked out. But going into 96, I was nowhere on the radar to make the team. I think like in 4 years, I had a couple of good meets.
Yeah.
But then going into the last year, like, I better fucking go for broke.
Yeah.
This time I stayed healthy. I just cross-trained the whole time. They call it CrossFit now. I did all of those workouts
CrossFit.
a long time ago. Then
Yes.
I focused on with it the last 2 years. I had 2 good meets.
Yeah.
A meet to qualify for World Championships. I went to World Championships. And then I made Olympic trials. Really, like three big meets in 4 years.
Yeah, that's
And
how.
I was a team,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
crazy.
I started my
That's
job
how mine
and the
was,
family
You were
sacrificed
already
all the
with the
time.
fire department by then.
Yeah, so I'm more proud of that journey. Like once you get to that point, it's like, oh, I guess you made it there. But yeah, you remember the journey and the process.
Yeah,
Okay.
journey
More
for
so.
sure.
And then
Journey
you're not
for
broken when
sure.
you get out of it. I think it's one thing that you.
No, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's. I think it's important to walk away from something.
Like
you
you
know,
said,
Yes.
you're like,
yeah,
you
like
know
anything
what?
in life. Not,
And be happy for the next. Don't be pissed at the people starting to beat you now. Be like,
oh, I'm
fucking
stoked for that.
get it, young bucks.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ow, I hurt. You know, I'm just like, no, you're stoked for the next generation. You know, like
Totally.
I like that. I am cheering for all of those. other
It's
athletes
so
to be the
cool
best they
to
can be.
watch. I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah. you
yeah,
know?
I mean everything is just growing. Everything, whether in any kind of business,
Yeah.
or or sports, like they're all breaking new bounds these days.
New
and
boundaries.
It's really
and-
cool.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch. So yeah, I mean for us to be learning something from the young ones. Wait,
Yeah.
wait, what? Did I just say that?
We're the young
I
ones.
know.
We're the young ones. We're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ageless. Okay, we're ageless. Well, guys, thank you so much. I know it's late, and you guys have to work tomorrow as well, I think, or something. And
Is
I gotta
this the
get
most
back.
G-rated podcast? that
It
you've
is
had?
actually. I feel like I didn't give
It is.
anybody a lap dance.
I know.
I
The
know.
most G-rated.
Which is kind of crazy because I know both of you. You both are like the dirtiest people I know. I mean, I'm just gonna say that right now. I'm actually really surprised how cleanly you all spoke.
I know.
You know,
Jesus
I-
Christ, you asked
You
really like.
Dirtiest,
Good
fucking
question.
filthiest freaking mouth of all
No.
women I know. And you were dirtiest old man. And we were so behaved.
You didn't ask our craziest moments.
It's so
That's for the next
crazy.
episode.
I know.
That's the next episode. I really can't believe how well behaved we
I
were tonight.
know. I know.
It's insane. It's insane. I don't
I'm
even
gonna
get it.
promote this one to our kids.
I know this weekend.
There's only a few cuss words.
Yeah, we can bleep it, but it's so funny because this show is rated like adult. You know,
This
you
is
can't even
G-rated
go.
tonight.
Yeah, you can't even go on my Instagram unless you're 18.
Oh.
I mean, hello. Have you seen the pictures I post on my
Right.
page? I was all booty pictures,
I know.
and it's so much fun.
What page?
Whatever. You just followed my page, Madame Macron.
Rare.
It's the fun one.
And we're proud of that. I know.
That's so
We
cool.
Talk about not letting go.
No, we get to watch you.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. Well, anyways, I just want to say thank you to both of you for joining me tonight, and it's just so exciting to see you both again in the same room, talking about the Olympics, and knowing you both on a personal level. I'm just very lucky to have you both as friends, and always like somebody to like go to for advice, if anything, whether it be sport, but also just life. I mean, this is the thing. Like I know that I can refer like young ones to you, like to learn something one way or another, you know, and I think that's something that we can all do for each other. If you know, if they want to know anything about donuts or cooking, send them to me. But
Absolutely.
I know that if they want to know
Cooking
about
for sure. I'll send my daughter.
Yeah, that's right.
We're super
That means she's
challenged.
gonna be working for me because
I know.
I need her to reach things for me in the kitchen.
I know.
She'll be like very, very
I
handy
know.
for that.
See.
Yeah.
I know.
I already have a few jobs for her. Like,
Awesome. Let's put her to work.
put her to work. For
Just
that.
teach her how to cook, because God knows
Exactly.
we're
Yeah, I know, because she can't.
We
so
have
like-
our good things, we have our bad things.
Yeah.
You know.
She will be cooking before you.
I know. I'm gonna have to hire you, or you're gonna have to come here. She's
We'll
gonna
do
have to
another
learn from
cooking
you.
lesson.
I'm challenged. I'm challenged.
But yeah, thank you both. And yeah, so Any last words before I close off? Because it's almost time for karaoke after midnight, to be honest.
I don't know. Naked pole vaulting.
Naked pole vaulting and naked weightlifting. It's always like probably in the future. That's gonna be the next episode. That's really rated XXX.
I know.
Oh, show. Okay, I can't wait. I'm usually naked.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, hello. I mean, until recently, now I have tenants in the kitchen. Until recently, I like sometimes would come to work like naked.
Yeah, it's your place.
It's my place. Nobody has to know. I mean, now you know.
I know.
But anyways, I have to close out, and
Okay.
I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'll be back again next week at 9:01 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, 9:01, because it's extra cool to be 1 minute late. And then tonight, I think I'll make it to Twitch at after midnight to do a little bit of karaoke.
Oh.
And if you have any requests, message me before midnight. But yeah, thanks again, and everybody say aloha!
Aloha.
Let your crazy come out just a little bit. I can see by how you're moving that you're feeling it. You ain't have to hide it, you can't fight it, you're an animal. Everybody got a wild side. Yeah, you're probably about to see mine. Come on, don't you think it's about time to live it up, can't get it up, of your wild side. Everybody got a wild side.
You can do your next podcast naked?
Oh yeah, that's
need-
a triple X.
Is it?
Stop streaming.
How do I watch?
I know.
How do I watch?
Actually, I'm thinking
The
eventually.
first show we can watch live.
There we go.
Yeah.
Lighting.
I'll be
Make sure your
makeup.
nipples are perfectly lit.
But what do you call those?
Oh my god, that's
I know
so
you call
hot.
I remember you call them the fluffers.
Fluffers, there you
Yeah,
go.
fluffer. How do you fluff that?
Wow.
Flappers.
What the? I didn't grab your boobs yet either.
I know.